Ladies and gentlemen, I have some very serious news for you today. There was an insurrection at the Capitol. Far left extremists in support of Gaza stormed the Kennan building, and they were subsequently arrested. No one's really calling it an insurrection. I mean, people are jokingly calling it an insurrection. But yeah, like several hundred far leftists stormed the Capitol and got arrested, but they'll likely get a slap on the wrist, face no serious charges, and be let go. So we'll talk about that, though, because Rashida Tlaib was posting about how Israel bombed a hospital, killing hundreds of civilians. And it turns out that whole story was a hoax. And this is fascinating because last night we're basically debating it. Who did it? Was it Palestine? Was it Israel? And it turns out it was nobody. I mean, technically, it was likely Hamas, but it was a parking lot fire. No joke. Video emerging after the fact in daylight shows the hospital is still intact, was not leveled, was not damaged for minor damage, cosmetic damage. But for the most part, it looks like it was a parking lot fire. Seriously, so the payload from a Hamas rocket likely fell in the parking lot, injuring civilians, not killing hundreds of them. That seems to be overt propaganda. Well, how about that? Well, ladies and gentlemen, these lies caused the peace mission of Joe Biden to get canceled in Jordan. And now Joe Biden says he's going to give $100 million to Gaza. That's right. Basically telling the terrorists that if they engage in terrorism, he's going to pay them a lot of money. And that to me is absolutely crazy. So we'll talk about that. Before we get started, my friends, head over to castbrew.com. If you'd like to buy the best coffee you've ever had, pick up your Cast Brew coffee. We've got Appalachian Nights Dark Roast. That's one of our favorites. The number one selling, of course, is Rise with Roberto Jr., our light roast breakfast blend. And it's because there's a picture of Roberto Jr. on it. Everybody wants it. What can you say? Support the show by going to castbrew.com, buying your coffee, joining the Cast Brew Coffee Club. Pumpkin spice is always around, but now it's in season. So maybe you want to pick up some Mr. Bokus pumpkin spice experience. We sponsor ourselves. We produce our own coffee because we're not going to support companies that don't like our values, and we are going to produce something that we think can be outside of the normal media stuff we do, where we can sponsor ourselves with products. When you buy it, you're supporting the show. But you can also support the show directly by going to timcast.com and clicking Join Us. Become a member. If you like the work we do, you want to see us do more, you want to see us expand, sign up, $10 a month, and you are helping the mission. More importantly, though, you'll get access to our uncensored members-only shows Monday through Thursday and access to our members-only Discord where you can hang out with like-minded individuals and call into our after show and actually talk to us. So if that's valuable to you, go to timcast.com, become a member. But don't forget to also smash that like button and subscribe to this channel. Share the show with your friends, more than one, I assume you have. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more is Angela McArdle.
Hey there. Thanks for having me.
Who are you? What do you do?
I am the chair of the National Libertarian Party.
Right on. You're going to tell us who's running for president, or do we know what's going on with that? Or?
I'll give some updates on who's running for president
cool.
and some other really cool political projects we're working on.
Oh, okay. All right. Right on. Well, that was easy. Thanks for hanging out. Should be fun. We got Hannah Claire Bramlow.
Hey, I'm Hannah Claire. I'm a writer for Timcast.com. I'm glad to be back. Brett from Pop Culture Crisis is here with us.
Yes. Hello, guys. My name is Brett. I am the host of Pop Culture Crisis right here on YouTube, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. You should come and hang out with us.
And I am here as always, Serge.com. I'm ready for the episode when you are, Tim.
Here we go. The first story from the Daily Mail. Pro-Palestinian protesters invade the Capitol. More than 300 demonstrators are arrested after demanding Israeli ceasefire by staging sit-in in a rotunda in the Congress complex. Look at this. I can't believe what I'm seeing. This is so dangerous to our democracy. What these people did here, disrupting an official proceeding and parading in a government building, I guess 20 years? What do you guys think? 20? 18? Lock them up.
At least 18.
Solitary.
For the leader.
No trial.
No, we'll just spend 2-3 years prosecuting them. We'll send search warrants to their homes. We'll bring them back to D.C. We'll make them spend tons of money on legal fees. And, oh, wait, no, none of this is going to happen.
Straight to jail.
They should have, somebody should Photoshop in the Q shaman in there.
Someone did that already. They put the shaman hat on Rashida Tlaib.
Or the
in
old
a video.
Lady, or the old lady with the American flag.
That was not in the Capitol.
That was somewhere else.
Yeah, that one really frustrates me. It's so annoying. I see high-profile people be like, "Look at this little old lady. She was in Michigan or something."
Oh, wow!
Like, it's just some random old lady from a different or Oklahoma or something like that.
Because my brain goes,
she wasn't at the
my brain goes right to in my brain that her and the shaman guy are right next to each other at the same time.
Capitol Meemaw.
Yeah, the little lady with the American flag. She was not at the Capitol. Mm-hmm. I mean, I could be wrong. My understanding is that was debunked a long time ago.
Well, January 6th was a huge disappointment, and the disappointments keep rolling out.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, yeah, none of these people should go to jail for a long period of time. I don't care that they protested in the Capitol, but we can see the double standard.
Oh, sure.
Right in front of our eyes. What's going to happen now is the left is going to come out. First of all, I think Dave Smith came out and made this point that, if you're calling for them to be arrested, it was the feds who did it. It was not the leftists who put you in jail. Yeah, but here's the problem. And I agree with what he's saying, but this is exactly what they expect.
Yep.
The libertarian, conservative, post-liberal faction are going to say, no, don't arrest them because we're good people. And we'll go, okay, you got it. And then if you fart, they'll come and beat the crap out of you and lock you up for 2 years.
Because they're not living by the same agreement, right?
Exactly.
They're saying we would do it to you, but you shouldn't do it to us.
Yeah.
And also they feel justified in what they're doing. And that is sort of never going to go away. I think the biggest issue is that there's a two-tier justice system here, and it's obviously falls around political lines.
We don't play by the same rule book. It's a real problem in the country. Hardcore leftists will do anything and everything by any means necessary. That's how they operate politically, and other people just find that unsavory, and they don't want to throw down that way. And so we're always going to be at that disadvantage.
And to the average person, because they don't understand that the media won't report on it in the same way, it won't be given equal time or equal explanation by the media. You won't understand that this is happening there right now. So nobody ends up finding out. Nobody who isn't politically initiated will end up knowing.
Yep.
I do think this is
insurrection.
good, though, because the mask has dropped again. And so people who are on the fence, people who are centrist, who think, oh, I just don't like the fighting, oh, X, Y, Z, I can't pick a side. It'll help them to really see what's happening here and why there's such a disparity and how they should not be voting for leftists.
But I don't think it's enough to change it, to be honest. I feel like this group is going to have the same supporters no matter what.
Hardcore, yeah.
And ultimately, the infighting over whether or not to support Palestine or Israel is going to disrupt leftist communities, but I don't know that it will ultimately make them abandon the party, right? They'll always unite behind Democrats.
I think hardcore leftists will always unite behind Democrats. I'm sure that there are some people who are sympathetic to leftist causes, and this is a leftist cause, even though, I'm certainly sympathetic to anyone who was blown up by the Israeli government unjustly. That's horrendous. But this is by and large a leftist cause in the United States. And I hope that people can see that at least the people leading these groups in Washington, D.C. are completely hypocritical.
But there's two great stories in our traditions. There is Chicken Little, and there is the boy who cried wolf.
Yes.
What happened in Chicken Little? Did the sky actually fall down?
I think
the
it
sky
does.
did fall down.
Yeah, is
In
that
the movie, it's
aren't
like
they
a
the same
spaceship.
story? Like the kid's
Yes.
like wolf, and they're like, nah, there's no wolf. He's like, there's a wolf. Like, oh, there's a wolf. No, there's no wolf. And then he's like, okay, now there's actually a wolf. Like, get out of here, kid. And then the Chicken Little wasn't it? The chicken was like, the sky's falling, and they're like, shut up. And then he said it again, and they shut up, and then finally it fell, and no one believed him or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know. All I know
Googling
is
the plot to Chicken Little right now.
when Hamas runs this narrative, Israel blew up a hospital. A press conference is given where they're like, Israel warned the hospital they were going to do it. And then you get all these leftists screaming that Israel did it. And then we're like, wow, I mean, we in good faith want to understand who did this. Oh.
Sure.
And then it turns out nobody did it. I mean, look, it appears that a Hamas rocket misfired. The payload landed in the parking lot and created a big fire. The hospital is intact. Hundreds of civilians did not die. They lied again. These people lie all the time. So when they come out and they're like, Israel's doing evil things, I go, shut your mouths, dude. I am so sick of you lying to me to get me to support war or hundreds of millions of our dollars being sent to Gaza. At this point, I'm just like, bro, I don't care. I want nothing to do with it. I'm just tired of being lied to by everybody. This is what they do. Rashida Tlaib immediately comes out and claims that Israel blew up a hospital. And people believe it. And then the facts come out a day later, and that's, of course, I mean, it's considerable damage in the parking lot. There's no crater.
Sure.
The cars were on fire. That's it.
Do they really even need to exaggerate? Isn't there enough chaos and suffering
It's all
going
lies.
on over there?
All of it is lies. I'm sorry. I'm at the point, like, they show me these videos and I'm like, gee, did an earthquake happen? Because they have lied so much. I am done listening to them. Okay. I'm fed up. The hospital thing was so infuriating because I see, like Luke Rudkowski posts, why are my tax dollars going to hitting hospitals? Because the initial assumption, the Wall Street Journal runs this headline story that, blast blows up hospital or whatever. And then it turns out it's like, oh, wait, here's video of a rocket misfire. And then we wake up in the morning and there's footage and it's like, oh, the parking lot was on fire.
And
They claimed hundreds died, but it's not true.
But that story is already out there. I mean, you pointed out that
Yep.
the Washington Post put it in their print edition.
Wall Street Journal.
Wall Street Journal. So
Front
there
page.
are tons of people who are now always going to be able to have the image of this headline. And that's ultimately what I think the objective is anyways. It's not to get truth out there, it's to whip you into a frenzy to support the cause, which is, one of the grossest parts of politics in any country, but definitely in America.
And way worse now in the with war being as in the information around war being as immediate as it is, you just leak the story, you put the story out there, and yeah, sure, maybe 5 to 10, 20% end up reading the retraction or see the follow-up headline, but that's a large amount of people, a vast number who will never know that that's not what happened here.
And even if you do print a retraction, I mean, the thing about war reporting is that it's all happening so fast, it's very difficult to verify, which means that as the consumer of it, you should be very careful about what you're seeing and what is being told to you. But people don't do that. And so by the time, the Wall Street Journal says, oh, maybe we got it wrong, actually 7 other things have happened that they've reported on. So it doesn't really matter. That
Just
never
leaves
gets
you feeling
fully
angry.
corrected.
Yeah. It's just going to further and deepen the divide in the United States because now you're going to have a hardcore Team Palestine and a hardcore Team Israel.
Who believe different things happen.
Very much.
Fundamentally, they do not even have the same narrative, which is true of all conflicting causes. But in this case, there's no way to go back and say, this was what happened definitively because the information that gets circulated. I mean, this is the downside of the internet age. And the internet is ultimately, a huge blessing in a lot of cases. But in this case, it means that it's moving so quickly, you have no way to verify it. And by the time you watch that one video, read that one tweet, it's gone. And 6 other things have replaced it.
Most days I don't actually think the internet was a blessing anymore. Like I don't. Like it's as awful as that sounds. Like I don't feel like human beings were designed to be inundated with that much information constantly, especially when you take into account your life, your work, your kids, all these things that take up your time. And then you have these stories, which are not light stories. These are not stories about celebrities or about something like cheap in the news. This is like really, really life-changing stuff, and you're not designed to be able to take in all this information endlessly, be able to parse through all the facts and figure it out. They have to rely on people to do that, but we can't rely on the media to be the ones to do that openly and honestly.
This is the crazy thing. For the entirety of human history, up until the last 80 years, or maybe 100 years, news was few and far between, was rare.
Or local. Just very local.
Or very local, but barely. So there was a newspaper from up in Martinsburg. I forgot where it was pulled from. Someone was telling me about it. And it was like the one of the front page stories was that a guy broke his door on his storefront or something. Like the newspaper was like, Jim broke his door. And you're like, oh, Jim broke his door. Like
It was about your community.
Imagine if your newspaper said like your next door neighbor's dog got out. You'd be like, oh, wow, that happened again. That was news. Now it's like every headline news is like Hitler has returned from the grave and, World War 17 is happening.
And they're competing on a huge scale. They need attention from everyone on earth. It's the same reason why people are more likely to know who's running for president than who's actually running for mayor, even though the mayor makes more decisions about their town.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I think you're right. The deluge of information is definitely a hindrance for the internet. And I go back and forth. Sometimes it is awful, but, the internet allows me to work the job I have right now. The internet allows tons of families to homeschool their children effectively. The internet allows people to, travel and experience the world while they work remotely. And so as much as I want to hate the internet all the time, we are past the point of going without it. And there are all kinds of things that suffer when we don't have the infrastructure for the internet. I think about rural communities that don't have access to, hospitals or reliable emergency service lines, partially because all of that goes through the internet.
But I do got to give it up to the internet. Because imagine what life was like before it, when the government would put out a statement saying, Hamas has blown up a hospital,
now you can
killing hundreds of people, and you were like, wow, and that was it.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend about his family and their view of institutions, and their view of institutions are that institutions are absolute. And it's kind of crazy, like the general idea is, if it's said on TV, it is true, period, the internet is all fake. And that's the world they live in. But that's like a lot of people who are voting Democrat, who are watching MSNBC and CNN.
And I think it's an older generation too, because the internet is more scary. It's not to be as trusted. And to be fair to the internet, a lot of crazy stuff comes up on the internet. I mean, it is where ideas are fleshed out in a way that they are not in mainstream media.
Trust the experts, right?
And it asks more of you as the person consuming the information to be able to make up your own mind about things. I do understand that, right? Like when I make that statement, that's a more doomer take on it. Like, look, we're just not. But at the same time, when it was just 4 news networks deciding what information you were given, then you've put all the power in the hands of the most elite members of society who will never have your best interests at heart. I just find that people have talked about how like in the age of the internet, like we've stopped looking at things the way we did before, right? Like now when you go to look something up, you're hit with so much that you just, at least for me, I find it difficult, right?
Sure.
To parse through all the information. And if that's difficult when that's your job, it's even more difficult if you're just somebody who's trying to stay up on current events while taking your kids to soccer practice, working your job. That's just, it's a lot to ask of people, but with freedom comes the responsibility to do that.
Yeah. It's psychologically fatiguing, and it's probably related to why we have so many anxiety disorders now when we didn't back in the day, the day before the internet.
Because there's no way to unplug.
But I like having electricity and all those
I like
benefits,
electricity for sure. Air conditioning, that's a good one. With the internet, though, I don't think it's as addictive as maybe there were people who were glued to their TV, definitely when major events were happening. But the internet is addictive in a way that mainstream media in the traditional television or radio format is not. And that has to do with the fact that it's interactive, that you have sort of personally invested yourself if you have like a social media profile. And it means that you constantly want to be checking in on it. Whereas at one point, the news got boring and you would turn it off and do something else.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's jump to this story. I have this tweet for you guys from Molly Hemingway. She said, "I'm so glad I pay hundreds of dollars a year for this level of quality in my newspaper. Front page, the Wall Street Journal. Blast at Gaza hospital kills hundreds. Oh, geez, what really happened? Uh-oh." The Wall Street Journal posted this one at 6:58 p.m. tonight. U.S. experts say evidence suggests Palestinian rocket hit Gaza hospital.
Suggests.
Hit the hospital. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, how about this article from Timcast, which was published well before the Wall Street Journal, who apparently just does not want to admit they were wrong on the front page, because here's the damage. It appears to be the parking lot. Oliver Alexander said IDF drone footage from the hospital from after the attack shows damage that is more consistent with a failed rocket than a JDAM. Majority of the damage is concentrated on the car park with no visible crater. We also have this photo right here. Daylight. I mean, it's bad. Okay. People got injured in this. These cars were on fire. No crater. The hospital was not leveled. It appears hundreds of civilians did not die. They lied. They lied.
This is going to be the first in a long line of these conflicts. It's going to be opportunistic on both sides. Everybody's going to be foaming at the mouth, chomping at the bit to take advantage of any and every little thing that they can.
We had a super chat last night, and someone said a Hamas rocket could not level a building. It had to have been from Israel, and I immediately said, "Was the hospital leveled? Is that what happened? Like the whole hospital just collapsed?
Leveled. See, we go from struck to leveled.
Yep." Mm-hmm. And what they were claiming was that the whole hospital was hit and collapsed, killing hundreds of people. Well, that was the argument they made.
That would be awful, and thankfully that didn't happen. And we should.
And so, I mean, this is our fault too. I mean, we're debating whether or not it was Israel or Palestine, and we never stopped to ask whether it really happened or not.
It's really difficult to figure it out. Just like we were looking at that image of Rashida Tlaib earlier wearing the QAnon shaman hat, trying to figure out, is it a deep fake or not? And it's fake. But things make it out into the internet really quickly, and everybody has an agenda that they're trying to push. I mean, the
internet's the biggest game of telephone of all time.
The agenda I want to push is that the United States should stay out of it financially.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. I at this point especially, but now Biden wants to give him $100 million, so just justifying the terror attack.
The Biden administration is trying to make both sides happy, and they will proceed to let everyone down because they also they're like, we are issuing sanctions against several members and entities affiliated with Hamas. So they are trying to cover all their bases. This is not going to work. The only option really would be to not get involved. But of course, they're just making us more involved in ways that are so complicated and are obviously going to backfire.
Biden's going to strengthen his base by pumping money into any cause he can related to helping Palestine and leftist activists. Meanwhile, conservatives in the United States are going to scream for Israel and to dump more of the United States dollars into Israel. We already give them billions of dollars. We should just stop giving everyone money. We just thoughts and prayers.
Like
Yeah, but
Kinsey
you know why we
Cortez
do
is
it,
like,
right?
we're not the world's ATM.
The reason we give them money is so they spend it. That's it.
Yeah.
We want you give $100 million to a handful of world leaders. They will live like kings and spend that, meaning we will do the labor on their behalf. Because what do you get? What do you buy with US dollars? Things from people who take US dollars, for the most part, as American citizens. But then it circulates in their countries, or that wealth that we produce is shifted off to their country. These world leaders then agree to use the petrodollar, and this is the game that's being played.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not everywhere, though.
Not everywhere.
Yep. Some people are saying they've had enough. And I don't know whether that's going to play
BRICS.
out. Yep. I don't know if that's going to be good or bad for us, but it is happening.
Isn't it kind of funny that around the same time the BRICS nations are announcing their own currency, and several nations are announcing they're going to stop trading in US dollars, or they're going to start trading in yuan, World War III seems to be breaking out.
Yep. How convenient.
We've got 19,000 personnel in the Mediterranean just outside of Israel. We've got 2,000 more ready to be deployed.
Yep.
They're saying the Pentagon is preparing them to go on the ground potentially. Yeah, I look. The embassy in the U.S. embassy in Lebanon is set on fire last night.
Yeah. So sad.
They need it. They need a casus belli.
So, like, okay, so you're saying that, like, supporting Hamas will strengthen his base. What is the size of, assuming he got 81 million votes, right? What's the size of his base, and do we really, is it really believable? Like, is that mostly people supporting Palestine?
He's Biden's going to lose from this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
That's what
I don't think it's a good play.
Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, I have a lot of friends who are they're political, they're Democrats, whatever, fine, but they're not here supporting Hamas
I don't
right
think.
now.
Well, hold on.
look at
Not
this-
everyone who's pro-Palestine is pro-Hamas. They're two different things. They're related, but I think that I would hope that a lot of people who are wanting U.S. aid to go and support Palestinians who are suffering, they don't want to support terrorists. Even if I disagree with them, I don't think that they necessarily want to see terrorism supported.
But look, the reality is that part of Biden's base are the same class of people who donate to institutions like Harvard, and we are seeing that those donors are pulling their dollars. He's hurting either way. There's no positive move.
Well,
for
it's
him.
not a good move.
I understand the argument that Palestine is not Hamas, but I do kind of think that's a bit naive. Because if Joe Biden says, I'm going to give $100 million to the people of Palestine, we know where that money's really going.
It's going to get confiscated by Hamas.
Confiscated or just given to them. They're the government in Gaza. They will just take it. And it's also basically saying, if you engage in terror, even if the money was specifically given to NGOs and it resulted in people getting cleaner water and buildings and air conditioning and other things they need, then Hamas is basically told, like, well, whenever you need money, whenever you want money for your people, whether it goes to you or not, all you got to do is go kill thousands of Israelis.
It's a terrible precedent.
Absolutely. And so when it comes to these people who are like, we're defending Palestine, it's okay, well, the Palestinian people vote for Hamas.
Not all of them, though.
No, but the point is, that you can argue for civilians. That I totally get. Mm-hmm. But the government stands in the way. And what is the solution then?
The solution is the United States has got to stay out of it.
I completely agree. Mm-hmm. So, but people who say that want to support Palestine, no, there's no way to support one.
Get
creative. And not the other.
Get creative. I haven't figured out how to do that.
No, we can stop supporting all of it altogether, or you can support all of it. Like the idea that you can support the Palestinian people and not be supporting Hamas is incorrect. I know I'm not saying you are directly funding and allowing Hamas to engage in what they're doing, but what you give when you donate to these groups will find its way to empowering Hamas.
Former Congressman Justin Amash, his family was Palestinian Christians, and they were sponsored over here by Christian missionaries. So I don't know how easy or challenging that is currently, but that's one way to try to help people is get them out of that situation.
Sure.
That's what
people who are trying to leave, I can
That's
totally
what the
agree
First
with.
Minister of Scotland is saying today.
Yeah,
He
but
said Scotland will take refugees from
Be
from
careful who you invite into your country and home.
That's it. I
Be
mean,
careful.
when you've got, I think the latest numbers that we pulled up a couple days ago was like Hamas won the election with like 44% or something. I'm not an expert in the region, but 44% is, I mean, that's like the margins we get for presidents in this country. I'm not going to blame everybody for Joe Biden. The people who voted for Joe Biden are to blame, but you have, it's inseparable, right? There is going to be, in any material support to Gaza, material support going towards Hamas.
Sure, it's just like Live Aid when politicians and celebrities and musicians, everybody got together to pump money into Africa. It went to African warlords. It didn't go to the people who needed it.
This is
It's
true
tragic.
for anywhere we give money. And this includes Israel.
Yeah, absolutely.
When we give money and donate to Israel, you are strengthening the economy and the structure and the infrastructure of Israel, which ultimately can run up to the IDF, to the Israeli government. I am not saying that is right or wrong for either. I'm saying they're inseparable. So that I'm frustrated by the people who are like, we don't like what Hamas is doing. We support the Palestinian people, and it's like, well, the plurality of the voters support Hamas, and Hamas just massacred a bunch of civilians, and now our government's giving them more money. I got a simple solution: cut it off.
I think
Like no more funding.
the best thing that we could do is try to facilitate peace talks. It's not gone well in the past. That's about it. That's my threshold.
And that's the thing. It's like, look, man, there's no easy answer here.
Yeah.
I see what I see here with this conflict is really exemplified by what we see with the left, where these leftists are cheering for death.
A lot of them are, yeah.
I mean, when they post a picture of a paraglider,
It's gross.
They're
It's super
celebrating
gross.
death.
Absolutely.
no question. And maybe there's the banality of evil in the morons on the left who have no idea what actually happened and are just waving the flags and raising the fist. But when these groups organize and outright issue statements saying they're freedom fighters, when the professor said settlers are not civilians, they will lie to your face, as they've done. They will cheer for death. And then we're supposed to sit back and be like, let's be reasonable here, guys. Let's make sure we're helping the civilians. Like, no, dude.
Well,
they're lying to you. And they're committing the people. Hamas is killing people. I'm not saying Israel is innocent. I'm not saying any country in war. There's always some nuance of the conflict. There's always collateral damage. It's never good. But I'm just sick of being lied to. And when you look at what the left says and does, they cheer for your death and they lie about being victims. So it's just like, stop. Just stop.
The Israeli government does not treat people well over there, but that doesn't justify murdering people with paragliders. And it's really unfortunate that people on both sides, no one will just admit murder is wrong.
So when we have this video that comes out, and we had Max Blumenthal, and he's talking about the March of Return.
Okay.
Palestinians peacefully marched to the fence with their hands up, and Israel still shot at them.
Okay.
That's the kind of story where you're like, oh wow, I mean, like that sounds really bad. Why would they do that? Well, here's the question I have. I'll ask you, as I'd ask anybody. If Israel removed all of the security perimeter around Gaza and told the people of Gaza they're free to move through Israel, what would happen?
Oh, wow. I mean, you'd see a lot of different mixed reactions there.
But I think you'd see violence. That's what
yeah.
you'd
It'd be a
see.
massacre.
By who? I mean, both sides, I assume.
I doubt the old ladies in the kibbutzes are going to pick up guns and go
No,
charge.
not old ladies.
No, what likely would happen is there's going to be a bunch of fighting age young men, mainly Hamas, substantially more than we saw actually paraglide, because paragliding is difficult and more expensive.
Sure.
And they would rampage through the kibbutzes, the villages, make their way to Tel Aviv, and start just massacring people with rifles.
I think you'd probably see some Israelis who were angry doing similar things.
Yes, but the Israelis aren't going to storm into Gaza. If the security barrier of Gaza was removed, Israeli citizens are not going to run full speed into Gaza to start massacring people.
Yeah, it's defensive versus offensive. I think we're missing that.
I mean, so there was this Irish politician who I saw a clip of talking about how, I think his name's Paul Murphy, talking about how people should, he's pro-Palestine, or I mean, I don't know if you would argue that he's pro-Hamas, but he's saying that this is not a conflict between equals because Israel is significantly more financially
Sure.
and militarily advantaged. But I don't think that may be true. On the other hand, the solution being like we should have peace talks is almost, to me, ineffective, because there's no peace between these two people.
I don't think it would.
There never will be.
They have been in conflict for a long time, and Israel has been, has taken aggressive moves in their own steps, and Palestine
have.
and Hamas have responded in turn. I mean, what would peace possibly look like between these two?
I don't think they're
Two-state
ever going to
solution
get
that Hamas
yes.
rejects.
I think the best you can
Hamas
do
would
is
never back down. I mean, I don't think that there's any. From what I know, and I've been trying to research this more, for Palestinians, there is no compromise because they always feel like they are getting the short end of the stick.
The best you could do is try to negotiate a two-state solution. I don't think that there will ever be peace in the Middle East, but I think that it's possible we could de-escalate this and there would be less death.
There will never be a two-state solution when one side says no, and from the river to the sea.
Well, both sides are saying no right now.
Yeah, but one side says from the river to the sea. Like the left that stormed that capital, they're chanting for the eradication of Israel. Patrice Cullors of BLM 2015 said end Israel outright. So if we're going to Israel and saying, like, what can we do to stabilize the region with a two-state solution? Israel has an open door for negotiation. I'm not saying they're innocent.
Didn't a lot of people in Hamas, didn't they write in their charter that they wanted to go back to like a 1967 agreement and have a two-state solution?
So the issue,
I don't want to be arguing for Hamas. It feels gross.
Yeah, no, I mean, Hamas's original charter said the eradication of Israel, and I think it might have specifically referred to the Jews themselves, right?
Yeah.
And then it was amended, I think, in 2017 to tone that language down, probably
Good.
because they knew they relied on international support.
Sure.
But those people's sentiments don't change. The issue is, I don't care who you support. The issue is there are two ideologically opposed groups.
Yeah.
There's one chanting from the river to the sea. Okay, like
The other
if-
one's
if-
just saying it quietly, maybe.
Israel, I don't know if there is a slogan of Israel to chant other than we've seen some people say they want to glass Gaza or something like that.
That's quite intense.
I don't know if the government is outright coming out and saying those things. It seems to be the Israeli government understands the nuances of international relations and is trying, at the very least, we can say this, whether they are or not, they're putting on the front of we try to minimize civilian casualties and we are only responding, we are not instigating. So when you have war between two factions and one side wins, there is no solution where you're just like, well, no, I understand these are warring factions with deep ideological tensions going back thousands of years, but let's just have peace. It's like,
Well,
okay,
certainly not. That's very naive.
It's never going to happen.
That's very naive.
I'm looking at this and I'm like, well, Hamas just lied about everything. I mean, they paraglided into Israel and they started killing civilians, killing children, and that is their military doctrine. Kill civilians and capture civilians is
It's
part
terrible.
So how do we have peace with that?
We don't have peace with Hamas, but
But
I
Hamas
think
is so intrinsically
the
linked to
rest
that
of
region.
the rest of the people in Palestine, I feel, would really love to have peace talks be a thing.
I think that's not true. I think that's then the answer would be for Israel to invade Gaza and excise Hamas and then restore democratic institutions to the reigning individuals. Guess what? They will not accept that. The other Arabic nations have outright threatened that if Israel does that, it's going to escalate. So that's not going to happen. And then Israel's other answer is airstrikes on Hamas targets, which results in massive collateral damage.
So we're stuck with an open air
Stop funding any of it.
institution.
I say,
The U.S. should not be involved in an
I do agree with
unsolvable
that.
problem.
The one who and then another group that loses is the American people, as more of our tax money is funded into.
I think we
its-
should absolutely. I think one of the ways that you might see a better outcome in this is if we stopped giving Israel United States money.
Here's the argument Ben Shapiro made, which is not without its merit. I don't completely agree, is that Israel will not allow itself to cease to exist. It will not allow defeat.
That's
and
okay.
and it is considered what, the fourth strongest military. It is also widely speculated they have nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
The Samson option is if Israel is facing extermination, they will use nukes to defend themselves.
Okay.
If the U.S. does not make every attempt to stabilize the conflict, it will devolve into World War III. That's basically what Ben Shapiro's argument was. If Israel invades Gaza now, and then Iran responds, Syria and Lebanon respond, and then Israel gets overwhelmed from external forces without U.S. support, Israel fires a nuke on Iran, Iran retaliates, the region lights up, pulling in a bunch of different nations, leading to a wide-scale, if at the very least, a regional annihilation, worst case, World War III.
So it's up to Team America World Police to step in
That's the argument from
and
Ben.
tell everyone. Yeah.
My argument
disagree.
is the U.S. intervention itself
Yes.
exacerbates that problem
Yes.
in the exact same way.
Absolutely.
And there is no solution other than we're walking full speed as fast as we can into World War III.
I don't think there's going to be ever like a literal peace in the Middle East. I think we could see maybe less conflict, and I would love for them to give that a try. And I do think removing our money is the first step in that.
There is one path towards peace. Well, there's actually two. The path towards peace that we hope for is generational proximity leading to a generational de-escalation.
Yep.
As more and more of these people grow up in these areas and want nothing to do with the conflict and just to live better lives, and the old ideas and traditions fade away, they'll start to say, like, why were my great-grandparents fighting? Like, I don't want to have anything to do with them, man. Just please leave me alone. So one of the things that helped racism kind of dissipate in the United States was proximity. People growing up next to people of other races being like, we are friends. Like, everything they said about that guy was not true. And so it removes those stigmas and stereotypes.
We could also remove sanctions on Iran and kind of just leave the rest of the Middle East alone and stop engaging in regime change every now and then. That would probably help.
I don't think that's going to, that won't stabilize the region.
I think it would stop destabilizing it so much.
I think before the United States was in Afghanistan, you had the Soviets there, and then we backed the Mujahideen because it's a proxy war. So whether it's us, China, or Russia, there is going to be foreign influence manipulating and fighting over the Middle East. I'm not saying I have a good solution. I'm just saying that it seems that we are facing with thousands of years of ideological hatred. The two solutions would be: can we just do everything in our power to try and stabilize this so that over a long period of time the fighting calms down? Maybe not, especially when you see the children in Gaza are being taught explicitly to hate.
They hate us.
Hate us and Israel. The other solution is the one that nobody likes to admit, but is in all sci-fi, the trope of what the AI does to bring about peace. Wipe out humans.
Well, I mean, that seems maybe a bit much.
That's the extreme instant.
Yeah.
There's peace when there's no one left.
Yeah, I think we could not do that. I think, that our
The goal
involvement...
is to avoid that from happening, and that is the terrifying outcome of if we can't solve the problem.
Our involvement in the Middle East has just been an absolute failure since the Iraq War, since Desert Storm, really.
Well before that, I mean,
since the Mujahideen.
Well, look, Iran.
Sure.
Yeah,
The Iranian Revolution. Yeah, absolutely.
And even the idea of proximity doesn't necessarily bear itself out to work, because we may have had that at a certain period of time, but then the kids go to college and they learn all the things that they learn now, which teach you to hate your neighbor rather than to actually learn to understand them. So I don't know, as long as information is freely passed from generation to generation, if that is something that's going to happen, it's going to take an excessively long period of time. And as long as military action is still happening in the interim, you create new enemies with every new military
Well, woke
action.
students here hate the Second Amendment and guns, so
That's not. Well, I don't know about woke. The far left likes guns.
Yeah.
It's the liberals who don't.
the liberals don't.
Yeah, the left loves guns.
Leftist college students here, I would say they don't like guns.
It is also funny that you mentioned
I don't know about
Tima.
that.
You think they like guns?
Yeah, leftists like guns. They have like the Red Guard.
Depends.
They have the John Brown Gun Club.
But I think leftist college students are unique, partially because of the impact that the Parkland school shooting had.
Yeah.
That was like one of the big high school to college
Yeah, no, I don't
anti-gun
think so.
push.
So
I think
you're
that
saying
it
more
is.
I don't think so.
Average
all of the
Vosh is pro-gun.
All
Yeah,
of
but
the high schoolers
he's
that I
like
worked with who
small.
are now in college
He's a
are anti-gun.
prominent leftist with hundreds of thousands of followers, and he's 26.
He's a small he represents a small demographic of gun-loving leftists.
I think you're wrong. The leftists love guns.
It's the it's the average liberal that hates the guns
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
There's
There you
far
go.
less there's far less of your gun owning blue dog Democrats than there was before.
Yes.
And the rest have been turned by the media, by Hollywood, by all these places to be extremely anti-gun, because they read articles every day that says there's been 90 school shootings today, and all these things. It is funny that you mentioned Team America World Police, because that movie, I mean, actually, when you think about the people that made it back then, might have been more libertarian, but it would have been Hollywood back in the day that would have been very like America needs to stop intervening in these foreign conflicts.
Maybe we'll get another one, except this time it seems more like instead of just stay out, it's just give everybody money, so.
Which is never going to work. That's the most ridiculous solution of all
Team
time.
America World Bank.
Basically.
So let's pull up this story from the Post Millennial. Hamas leader says the same type of racism that killed George Floyd is being used by Israel against the Palestinians.
Where is that quote? I want to hear the.
All right.
See
أنا
it.
أغتنم هذه الفرصة وإحنا
Vice.
بنعيش ذكرى القتل المجرم العنصري لجورج فلويد. جورج فلويد قتل في مثل هذه الأيام نتيجة منهجية عنصرية موجودة لدى أشخاص. اليوم هذه العنصرية التي قتل بها جورج فلويد يمارسها الاحتلال ضدنا وضد أهلنا.
Right.
That makes Israel the Derek Chauvin of the world.
They just know our
George Floyd.
buzzwords.
You know what?
that's good.
All right. If that's his argument, I agree. George Floyd was chewing on a speedball behind the wheel of a car. The police officers were trying to stop him because what he was doing could result in the death of children and himself. He begged to be released from the car and then was placed on the ground with a lethal amount of various drugs in his system. Officers were trying to subdue him as he was screaming and resisting. Eventually, he ended up dying. Now, Should they have had their Chauvin had his knee on his back for 9+ minutes? Maybe not. Maybe they should have got no, they shouldn't have. He should have gotten medical attention immediately. The dude was dying, presumably due to. Well, I think the official reporting is that it was cardiac arrest due to pressure. But let's just say the dude had this is also a fact. He had lethal amounts of, I think, fentanyl and other drugs in his system, including meth. So if this guy is arguing that they're just like George Floyd, it's like, okay, so you're saying that you're like chock full of crazy ass drugs and you're engaging in behaviors that's putting yourselves and others at risk. And now Israel is trying to stop you from doing that.
That didn't work the way you thought it would.
Here's the argument. Should George Floyd have been allowed to chew a speedball and drive an SUV?
Certainly not.
No. Should the police have made an attempt to stop him from doing it?
Yeah.
What do you think? You're more libertarian.
Oh, man. What was happening when that went down?
He was sitting behind the wheel of the SUV, presumably in a drug deal. What we think happened is that when the cops came up, he started chewing on the speedball, spit it out on the floor, crazy amount of drugs in his system. They removed him from the vehicle and asked him to sit down. Then they were going to bring him to their SUV for an arrest. Should they have done that, or should they have just said, just stay in the vehicle and do your drugs?
If they have probable cause, they pull him out.
So the problem with the George Floyd story then is they handled it irresponsibly.
Sure.
When they held him on the ground.
Absolutely.
In the body cam footage, George Floyd is saying, "Put me on the ground, put me on the ground, put me on the ground," over and over again. And so they agree to. Chauvin shows up later, not knowing what's going on, and then puts his knee. His knee is around the neck and the upper back. It's widely disputed. They then call medical, which arrives 9 or so minutes later. In the criminal trial for Chauvin, the use of force expert for the prosecution said Chauvin used a lower amount of force than was authorized. Locking him up was clearly political. He was authorized to actually tase George Floyd, which is an escalation of force, and chose not to.
Yeah, what he did
But it's
wasn't
still
legal.
the wrong
But it's what?
force. It's still the wrong force. It's less force, but it's dangerous and irresponsible to put your knee on someone's neck.
That's the argument. It's disputed whether or not it was actually on his neck or not.
Sure. It was like, was it on his
And so,
upper back?
So the issue is, if someone is engaging in behavior that could result in death, are you to blame if you engage in actions that try to stop them from committing violent acts? So if a guy, let's say, has a gun, and he's on drugs, and he's holding that gun,
Yeah.
and he's waving it around,
Yeah.
and then you tell him to drop it, and then he staggers about, falls over, and then you're like, "Hey, man, this guy's going to shoot somebody." Then he raises the gun up at you, and you shoot him. Should you go to jail?
I just don't think it's comparable to what's going on over there. Unfortunately, this Hamas leader just totally shot himself in the foot with this awful argument.
Well, but this is my point. The argument being made by Hamas is that they are drug addicts engaging in extremely dangerous behavior that will kill others and themselves, and Israel is trying to stop them.
Well,
But he mostly said it just to invoke sympathy from the
Yeah,
right people.
he's just-
in
No,
America.
but I'm going to give it to him. I'm going to give it to him.
you're going to give it to him. Well, I think it's
Yeah.
unfortunate that everyone in Palestine is getting caught up in his awful, awful argument.
What if the people in Palestine, I don't know, like rose up and like captured and arrested all of the Hamas people and said, "Stop doing this"?
That would be amazing.
Why aren't they doing that?
I think they're terrified of Hamas.
So they vote for him?
And some of them, I mean, when Libby Owens was on the other day, she was saying one of the things Hamas did was offer social services. So some
Sure.
people have a relationship with Hamas that at one point was in some ways positive, even if the things they're doing now are negative.
It's a very complicated relationship. Some of them are sure deeply resentful and also feel tied to it. It's like a battered husband, battered wife relationship. Probably someone over there is essentially held hostage.
And there are ultimately always going to be Palestinians who feel as though Israel is in the wrong for being there
absolutely,
at all. Even if they're not sympathetic to Hamas, they don't want to dispute the land they feel entitled to.
yeah.
One of the first things I saw after the initial airstrike, after Israel's first initial airstrike, was that it was the picture, oddly enough, of it says, "This is what it looks like after Israel dropped bombs on Gaza," and he says, "Just kidding. This is Minneapolis after the George Floyd riots in 2020." So that actually ties those together even more.
Yeah,
because it looked almost the same. Because Minneapolis was
and
destroyed.
As the same way that we might know the names of some random people that come out of social movements in other countries, I really just think that there is no understanding of the implications of what invoking George Floyd mean, other than it makes leftists in America sympathetic to your cause because they believe it's a racial argument. In fact, all the leftists in America probably have no idea what the nuanced situation is. They just know there are certain sides you're supposed to fall on, and they're attempting to.
We don't really fully understand what it's like to vote in an election where part of the dominant faction of your government is essentially a terrorist organization. What are the implications of arguing against them? What happens when you come out vocally against Hamas in Palestine? That's not something that we really understand over here.
Actually, a lot of them probably would say that about the American government, right?
Yeah.
They would actually say that. Like
They
every
would say
time-
that about us.
Every time we vote for an election here in America, we're voting for a terrorist faction.
They would say that about
Yeah,
us.
that's what I'm saying. Like they would take that position the same way that people here are taking that position when they talk about Palestinians voting for,
A big difference here, though, is that when our government engages in atrocities, it's overseas. It's not in like Mexico, at least not yet. We haven't elected anyone yet who's saying that they're going to go to war in Mexico. Although
Maybe we should, man, because the border is weak.
We should not go to. Do we want
I don't think
Palestine
Mexico's to blame for
and
that.
like
No, I'm
Gaza?
I'm just kidding. Although I do think we should secure the border. I mean,
Yeah.
there is
Secure- yeah.
obvious
We can-
conflict at the border, and there is obviously a level that you could be classified as an invasion,
Right.
and we don't do anything about it. In fact,
Right.
we are only interested right now in spending money abroad in Ukraine, in Israel, in Palestine. And although humanitarianly you want to offer support to those who are suffering, especially those you might consider your ally,
Sure.
we are not ultimately putting the people of Texas, of Arizona, and the
Hawaii.
states are after that. Hawaii also, the
too.
northern border is extremely porous. It's gotten worse and worse and worse. So
Oh, yeah.
people of upstate New York, people of Vermont, people of Maine, we put them last in this
Well, that's
scenario.
the-
And that's ultimately the U.S. government's biggest failing in this situation.
That's the most annoying part. Like Hawaii wasn't that long ago. Like our attention spans and our memories that short that in between, our ninth funding of Ukraine and what happened between Israel and Palestine is that we had several things. East Palestine here. All
Yep.
sorts of things are happening here that our tax dollars. What did they get? $700 in Hawaii per household
Oh,
or
it's
something? Not
nothing.
even per person.
Not even per person.
Right. So there's plenty of things that our tax dollars could be used here in America, and I think that does resonate with the average person. I'd like to believe that the average person who's saying like, look, I just want to see the less nuanced position of like, I just want everybody. I'm voting for peace. I want peace.
Right.
Yeah.
What they also mean is like we need to focus on what's going on here.
Absolutely, we
There's
do.
plenty to do here.
And I don't think that's even like people are calling that isolationism. I don't think it's isolationism. It's just purely trying to make something
well,
happen in your own
and get it
country.
done
is,
here
It's
first.
an
and
issue,
is
yeah.
isolationism bad? Is
I
it
don't-
always
I
out
don't think
there?
it's totally bad.
Isolationism would mean that we're not engaging in free trade and
Exactly.
having diplomacy.
Exactly, which is why I'm saying it's not isolationism.
Yeah.
It's
Doesn't
I
always
agree.
sound
Also,
awful.
they-
recognizing we
team.
have
That
problems
doesn't
in our
always sound
country
awful.
first.
The thing is, we just do crazy things when we're on the global
Yeah.
stage. We're not consistent, and I
Yeah,
just
true.
don't know. Not that I think we shouldn't engage in free trade, but ultimately, the idea that we have to be involved in everything, everywhere, all the time,
Exactly.
does not serve the American people.
Exactly.
And they
Just a
say-
hint, a
yeah.
whisper of isolationism, please.
And this is like, look, if you're going to help somebody else, you have to help yourself
Yep.
first. You
Yep.
need to, like, on a
No,
plane.
but we're not gonna
secure
put on
your
our oxygen mask.
Secure your mask first before you help someone else. We
Yes.
could do with helping ourselves first.
But I think what many people fail to realize is that this argument is essentially like the chickens in the chicken coop complaining that we only buy certain feed, and why are we spending money outside of the chicken coop? We take their eggs, they're paying their taxes, and then they're like, hey, you realize the people who run this show are wasting our food and resources on other houses and other chicken coops? Like, what's this all about? No, the chickens have no authority. Their say means nothing. So we sit here and we're like, the American people are upset about what's going on. Bro, since the end of World War II, international interests have superseded U.S. interests.
Yes.
The purpose of the petrodollar, the International Monetary Fund, Visa and MasterCard, what the American people want is immaterial to what the massive international institutions are trying to do and what they want.
I hope more and more people shift their buying power, their savings, out of the U.S. dollar and into Bitcoin. I think that we need to starve the banks.
Uh-oh. Elizabeth Warren's going to put you on a list.
I know.
Yeah, but maybe they want Bitcoin.
Well, they don't get it. That's just not how Bitcoin works. That's how other cryptocurrency might work. They can get into that, but not in Bitcoin.
Well, why not? What do you think?
Well, you can't print Bitcoin into oblivion.
Yeah,
It
but you
stops.
can buy it all.
Oh, can you? Other
Yeah.
people own it.
Right, you buy from them.
We don't know who all owns it.
So the U.S. government, if they're really concerned about Bitcoin, look, I like Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin's good. I have Bitcoin. But if the U.S. government's really concerned about Bitcoin with $33 trillion in debt, yeah, they could buy out Bitcoin.
I don't know about that. I think that was
could.
That's
The only way they couldn't is that some people would not sell.
there you go.
But that's not enough.
There's a lot of people who really, really hate the U.S. dollar who own a lot of Bitcoin.
So
There's a lot of wealthy people in Dubai who have a lot of Bitcoin too.
And see, in the interest of the United States, to buy as much Bitcoin as possible.
But they're not doing it. They want it.
You don't know if they are.
They're too hubristic. They're too hubristic.
Perhaps, but I kind of think they would. And this is the argument that I made to a bunch of my anarchist and libertarian friends. If you were say like a council on foreign relations or something like that, and you believed in some kind of like liberal economic order you're trying to create so that you could control the flow of currency around the world, what you need is a universal trade medium. The U.S. dollar is great, but doesn't penetrate literally everywhere. We do pretty well with it, right? So you want a one world currency. You want everyone using the same currency. Well, how do you go about doing that? Every time you bring up something like a multinational currency or an international currency, all these crackpot conspiracy theorists, libertarians, and anarchists start losing their minds. I got an idea. What if we seed them into promoting our universal global currency and get them to be the advocates for it? True. There's an idea. So the first thing we'll do is we will create a digital currency that tracks everything you do. So we'll know every purchase you make. We'll be able to track it publicly and openly. You won't be able to hide it because it's not Monero, it's not Zcash, it's Bitcoin. And then what we'll do is we'll go to all the libertarians and tell them, hey, this is anti-government money. Meanwhile, we're the ones secretly holding the bulk of it. And they won't be able to track it because we have the machines and we know the plan and they don't. Then you get a bunch of libertarians being like, I'm going to buy this up. They get really wealthy off of it, start advocating for it to be the thing to buy. But Bitcoin, if you're using it for other transactions, everything you do is tracked publicly. That's surveillance state 101.
But it's so safe, Tim. Everyone's so safe.
Oh, look,
now.
I like Bitcoin. There's a lot of great things about it. I like crypto in general.
I don't like crypto in general. I think that it opens the door for central bank digital
That's
currencies.
what I was. That was joking about being safe, isn't safe by the government. They're taking care of us all.
But I do think there's a
okay.
big difference between Bitcoin and general.
Oh, definitely
There is. But the main challenge with Bitcoin is that everything you do is publicly tracked, and the government will always know every purchase you've ever made.
Yeah.
And they want to get rid of cash, and it's libertarians advocating for switching over to a completely digital currency that is tracked by the government.
No. I'm not advocating for switching over completely. I'm saying we need to.
I'm not saying you. I'm saying the libertarians are. Massively advocating for. Well, sure. I mean, I'd say the Libertarian Party has the official position that everybody should adopt Bitcoin, but it's overwhelmingly the libertarians who made Bitcoin successful.
It's good. I'm holding out. I don't think it's the government. I think that this is a smart move, and we need to diversify and get off the U.S.
Do you
dollar.
think the Bitcoin is accessible to the average American? Meaning, like, what kind of financial literacy do you need to have to be able to get into Bitcoin? Because I think there are a lot of people who get they hear these stories about malfunctions or whatever else, and they get scared of Bitcoin.
I think probably a good 8 hours of learning about it.
That's more than we get in high school in America.
Just a good 8 hours, and you probably could figure out how to use it safely.
Do you think that everybody should be using it as their day-to-day currency?
Not yet.
But eventually?
Maybe. We need to make it easier to use. Lightning Network and things like that. We're not there yet.
Aren't those components of it more centralized, though, and run by like big tech guys in Silicon Valley?
No. I don't think that
Lightning
people
Network?
should be using major trading platforms, if that makes sense. I think people need to be a little bit safer when they use it.
The challenge is, the reason why Bitcoin forked so many times is because large portions of the community disagree with each other, and it's direct democracy. So what happens is 51% of the people running Bitcoin decide a rule change comes into effect and then just boot out the other 49, who now still will have that forked currency, but that creates Bitcoin Cash and all these other derivatives of Bitcoin because people disagree with the changes being implemented by the majority.
It's okay that there's some choice in currency.
Sure. Yeah. That's why I think Bitcoin's good. But I don't know if I believe in this total Bitcoin world.
Don't get me wrong. I don't think it needs to be total Bitcoin world. I think this is a good way to push back against the US dollar.
But so what world is that? Is that some of the trade we do is in Bitcoin, some of it is in dollars?
I think, well, it doesn't even necessarily have to be US dollars. You're going to have to push off of the dollar and push against it and see what happens.
What do you trade with?
Right now,
Bitcoin?
you've got Bitcoin. People are also, they still have gold and silver. You know, there are gold bugs out there. I'm not so
But you're
much
not
into
trading with
that.
gold and silver.
Yeah, I was
right.
gonna say.
The value of gold and silver is too great based on its
Sure.
weight. So you could do the gold backs, for instance, but then it's just like people look at you side-eyed like you're giving me
They
a
do.
polymer enclosed gold foil bill. What
Let's
is this?
Let's
Bring back
move.
the pirates and their doubloons. I feel
Let's
like that would
move
be a good
more
time.
onto Bitcoin and see what happens with the dollar.
My biggest
We
concern
need
is
to
that,
weaken the Federal Reserve.
and I agree with that, but my concern about Bitcoin is that the government will be able to track everything you do.
I think it's a little doomer. They can already track everything we do.
Yeah, but not when you buy things in cash. Or at the very
It
least,
depends on how large of a transaction it is in cash.
yeah, even then,
Because
there's
if it's
a lot
going
of,
into a bank, it's being tracked.
and banks aren't even giving out certain deposits. But if you go buy something, even 10 grand in cash, you have a choice of whether you're following the law or not. Like my attitude is like just pay your taxes, but there is a bit more leeway in. So I'll put it this way: Moxie Marlin Spike made a great point about why there needs to be room for people to commit illegal acts.
Yeah.
And the
agreed.
argument he made was marijuana. Everybody right now is starting. This is years ago. I interviewed him. He said we're starting to see the legalization of recreational and medicinal marijuana.
Yep.
But how would people know they wanted it legal if they never tried it? There has to be a little bit of give in the system. Otherwise, it only flows in one direction.
Sure.
And I'm like, that's actually completely correct. If things become illegal and then you are prevented from ever seeing it or hearing it or touching it, eventually we all live in gray boxes. We don't own anything and everything's illegal. There has to be a way to push back and test the boundaries and be like, wait, actually, this shouldn't be illegal. So the challenge with Bitcoin is that I see everything you do will be completely tracked and not just by the government, but by any other nefarious actors and foreign governments.
Well, you can use Monero if you're uncomfortable with Bitcoin.
Right. So that's why I like crypto, not just Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Bitcoin
So much
itself is good.
So much out there that's so bad, though. In
Yeah,
crypto.
but that's like saying, I bought, pyrite and it turned out not to have been gold. I got scammed. It's like, okay, well, someone scammed you.
Yeah,
That doesn't mean gold is bad, So crypto I like.
I think we agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, how about we jump to another story here? I want to bring up this one. Beauty tycoon Huda Katan faces furious backlash and boycott threats to her makeup line after sharing anti-Israel video on Instagram. I don't know who this is. Do you guys know who Huda Katan is?
Yeah, she has a really popular makeup line, especially when this will mean nothing to the boys in the room, but you might get it. Baking, which is where you put a lot of like setting powder under your eyes and then brush it off. She was had a really popular product for that. And she's carried in Sephora, Ulta, things like that. She has gotten in trouble for similar things before, but obviously now the timing makes everyone's moves more heightened. I know people often say, you should cancel her, and they do this with other makeup companies. So another one was Anastasia Beverly Hills. Apparently, the founder had some pro-Russian statements when the Ukraine stuff was happening.
So
And they have great products.
What everyone needs to understand here is that this famous celebrity woman who sells makeup is willing to burn everything down around her to support Gaza.
Good for her.
And people on the right are too busy saying, I can't speak up. No, I can't take the risk. Sorry. Oh, but it's
Yep.
I can't do it. There you go. So long as that's the case, they're going to continually gain ground. Now, to be fair, for a variety of reasons, I think this is actually like my point here is about the conviction of the left, their willingness to destroy everything to get what they want.
People have to take risks. You have to be able to be a political risk taker.
But that being said, I think she'll just end up losing a ton of money and her brand will start fizzling.
She might, or this might blow over in a week, honestly.
That's what happens in the past, because she's a U.S. Iraqi citizen, and she said stuff that people get upset about, but the boycotts never last.
As long as she has ownership of her company. Kat Von D got in trouble for saying some very not PC things, having some strange marketing for her cosmetics, and she ended up she sold her company, but she was almost pushed out.
What was that? That was recently though, right? Like not that long
Was
ago?
it a couple years
3
ago?
years ago, I think.
She's got baptized.
Whoa, really?
She got
She's had
baptized.
a whole-
She's had a huge transformation.
She's on an arc right now.
Yeah.
We actually just talked about this today.
It's amazing.
She got baptized
It's
a
been
couple weeks ago. Yeah.
amazing to watch her get her tattoos blacked out and to be for medical freedom and move to, where is she? Ohio?
Ohio,
Looks like
in a really
Jeffree
cool,
Star
very
moved to
gothy
Wyoming.
house. Yeah.
Yeah,
Jeffree Star moved to Wyoming.
he's been I follow all these guys because I have a cosmetics line too. But get this.
You do?
I do. It's called Bonadia Cosmetics.
No way.
Absolutely.
Are you guys on Public Square?
So I'm in pre-production. I've been in pre-production since May.
What made you want
Because
to do this?
I made it for real women, by women.
Not for
actual women, if you catch my drift.
Yeah, I getcha.
Wasn't there a Sephora? Wasn't there like somebody who's like a MAGA supporter who was like Sephora or Ulta, and she was like sponsored by them, and they got rid of her because of stuff she said, and like did a video like with PragerU or something like a year ago.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't know that story specifically.
Okay.
I mean, Ulta was one of the big Dylan Mulvaney.
Yeah, they were
send-offs
super
with their
woke.
girlhood podcast.
So I
People always
basically
said-
started a cosmetics line to push back against it and said we're only using real women as makeup models.
No Dylan Mulvaney.
People were very offended. They were like, what about your trans friends? I was like, well, I'm not upset with them, but we have to push the Overton window in a certain direction. And so this is the stand that I'm taking. We're going to make women's products. I'm coming out with tampons and things like that too.
It's crazy how now like you have to like it's all whataboutism. Like Victoria's
All of
Secret,
it.
like Victoria's Secret saying like they're like you need to have people who aren't super hot too. They're like why can't they? Why can't you just be like no, we don't.
No.
Like you can do that.
We
don't need to do that.
Let's just have young, attractive models showing off products, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Feminism made them
like-
feel guilty about that. They don't feel like they can do that anymore.
Now, to be fair, a lot of their models are underage, and I think they should not do that.
No,
Yeah,
no.
definitely.
We should have people in their, 18, in their 20s, showing off products and making products look appealing and nice. I think that's good marketing.
Yeah.
Sure. What I'm saying is that there's a lot of people who don't realize when they go to the mall and they're walking past these mall
Yeah.
stores with these women. Those women are like 15 years old.
Yeah, they're under-
Those girls are like 15
I
years old.
worked as a jean model briefly when I was like 18, 19, and most of the competition was like 15 to 17.
That's messed up.
It's just weird.
Was it Victoria's Secret?
I mean, it's
that
like
had the
when they're
That's just
doing
LA. That's like
underwear
everybody.
and stuff.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
everywhere.
that's
It is
gross.
everywhere. It is everywhere.
It's
It is the
gross.
biggest. It is the major
Southeast
agencies,
Asia,
the international agencies. They get 14, 15-year-old girls to do underwear modeling. It's messed up. They shouldn't do that.
It's worldwide.
Okay,
Yep.
so last thing about makeup, which you'll find interesting. The reason I've had production delays is because every company that I start to purchase materials from, instead of coming from Canada, it all comes from China. And I even busted them on the tracking. They were so bold as to issue me a tracking label where it was coming from Beijing. I was like, why is this taking so long? Why is this taking so long? So we're on our third round right now.
Are you okay with it being produced in China?
I
or
was
are you-
trying to find something produced in Canada, the United States, just not China.
Yeah.
And they were like, no.
To the
it's
point of the
impossible.
article, though, now, like, celebrities are having a really hard time not talking about stuff like this. And
Yep.
there's just so many of them. I'm like, you would do so well to just you don't have to have a stance on everything.
Was it Alicia Keys?
Yes.
She said she wanted to go paragliding.
like, I have no idea what her politics are, if that's true or not. If that is like a coincidence, it's the worst
She did.
coincidence.
She posted on Instagram, what would you do if you weren't afraid? I'd try paragliding. And then she posted the side-eye emoji.
Oh my
which, like, the side-eye emoji makes
she
it
knows
seem
what
like...
she's saying.
We should not kill people. Why is that?
But then she responds with like an Instagram story. She's like, "Oh, I didn't mean that. Like I
no.
pray
Yes,
for
you
peace
did.
from
This
everyone."
girl was
Yes, you
testing
did.
the water. She
Yeah.
wanted to see what would happen, and that's it. Because we know that there are a lot of young, more radical left-wing people who are backing Palestine in this, and that's what she's doing. She's seeing a response.
And we know
With
Black Lives Matter foundationally wants to end Israel.
other people they align themselves with are falling onto certain sides. I mean, with Huda Beauty, I wouldn't be surprised if now you get a whole wave of young women who are like, I'm specifically buying her products because I also believe in that.
I'm so
That's the
annoyed.
thing
But is
about all
that-
the virtue signaling.
Is that really bigger than just a large market? Like, especially if you're already established, right? Does Alicia Keys benefit? Does her music benefit from
she still making music?
to make a post like that when you're
knows?
already mainstream established?
But
Like,
she's-
just
she's-
stay out of it.
What's Taylor
past
Swift
mainstream.
doing? She has the best marketing.
She is just dating a football player.
Good
and
for her.
Staying in her lane.
Good
He
for
does
her.
drink Bud Light and is sponsored by Pfizer. But
To what you said
domestic
earlier, like what
issues.
you were talking earlier, like all the news is like crap and it's war and it's death. And I was like, no, because there was like a really funny article the other day where some poor People magazine person had to write a headline that said like Taylor Swift has now held Travis Kelce's hand twice in public. And I'm
It's like
some
we're in-
poor lady had to write that.
It's like we're in middle school. I saw that post and then immediately messaged it on Instagram to some of my friends that I went to see Taylor Swift with, being like, they're holding hands.
She's
Look,
got
look.
She got 4 years in J school. $80,000 in debt, and they're like, "Wow, holding hands twice, write it up." It's like, oh.
We've now gone like
We are in middle school.
The
This is
amount
happening.
of like time you have to spend talking about her because like every institution and every business has tried to like weasel their way into her life.
No one
so
lives
that they
more
can
rent
be-
free in everyone's head
Yeah.
than Taylor Swift.
I,
and
yeah,
I'm proud
I'm
of her
not.
for it.
I'm not a fan, but man, I wish the news was consumed with Taylor Swift and not people
they are.
dying in
I love
Israel
this.
and
Taylor Swift is great.
Gaza.
All domestic issues are Taylor Swift right now.
I don't understand why. Like, you look, when I see the Taylor Swift hate, I'm like, it's fake. Like, dude, you have no, there's no reason to hate her. Like,
Oh, for sure.
yeah, it's just like people ragging on her, and I'm like, she's a pop star. Like, she's dancing on
People,
stage. Like, good
I
for her.
saw
What do you
someone
mean?
saying that she must be doing horribly if she was dating a professional athlete.
No, everyone else is like, I'm super
Mental
obsessed with this.
gymnastics.
Her tour is like it's amassed 2.2 billion already.
Yep.
It'll
Her
make
movie made
it'll
some
make
ridiculous
4
amount of
billion.
money. Like Taylor Swift is doing fine.
It was like
we all should
100
aspire to be on her level of calm right
Yeah.
now.
And like people are like, you guys keep talking about her. Like I don't want to. I have no desire to talk about her, but she's relevant in almost every like.
And she's
How old
in-
is how old is she?
She's 33.
33.
I'm very interested in her marketing. I
2028?
follow that pretty
Yeah.
closely.
Oh no, that's the thing that they've already said. She's eligible in 2024.
What?
She would be 35 on
don't do it.
inauguration day.
Stay out of
On,
politics.
busy,
on
though.
inauguration day.
Oh, so January 20th is her birthday?
She would no, but she will
Before.
be before that. She will be 35 by inauguration day. And they pointed out
Okay,
when
I
Biden
just-
got elected to
Stay pure.
Wait, hold on.
Stay out of politics.
I've talked about how I long for the Donald Trump speakership of the House, how that would be so amazing. But there is if anyone if God or the simulation aliens, whatever you believe in, could bring about this like radical libertarian Taylor Swift arc,
Yes, yes,
Okay.
where
yes,
she just
yes.
starts coming
Okay.
out being like, I don't even understand why we're engaging in these foreign wars. I'm going to run for president and then wins. Could you like that? Would
Well,
just be,
she's
like,
about
the
to go on a
best
global
timeline.
tour, right? So she has a chance to really develop her diplomatic skills. I think this is a great idea.
okay, I like Taylor Swift as our diplomat. I like that.
Oh my gosh.
No, but like,
diplomatic
could you
Taylor
imagine
Swift.
just all of a sudden, right before, like in mid 2024, she starts taking this like very political libertarian streak,
Yep.
and
She would have to marry Travis Kelce then, because then it would be like
Yeah.
this blonde pop star with the football player running for the White House.
I don't see
It
any
would really be
regime
amazing.
change under her leadership. I
Me
see
neither.
concerts.
yeah.
There's some great Taylor Swift for president conspiracies. I invite everyone to go read them.
I
I doubt
they're
it, but I'm a huge fan.
They are fantastic.
I will be reading them.
I just think she's really doing a service to all fathers in the country right now, giving their daughters a reason to watch football with them. She's strengthening
yeah.
the family. It's
Okay.
just- she's doing everything.
There's
Everyone's
hilarious.
posting ones in chat like, no.
I don't care. I'm here for a good time, not for a long
Yeah.
time, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
We're speaking into existence.
But
by
look,
just by
I'm
mentioning
saying-
No, I don't think she'll run for president.
I'm saying if like I could wish upon a star and it would come true, it would be like Taylor Swift all of a sudden comes out with very pragmatic and like logical political stances,
it's so funny.
anti-interventionist, balanced budget, responsibility, individualism, and then wins.
Do leftist girls like Taylor Swift?
Yeah, everyone likes Taylor Swift.
Okay.
Taylor Swift did a whole
Taylor
thing.
Swift.
She crosses
me.
the aisle.
Even
Hold
when
on,
you
hold on.
don't want to, people like her.
The girls who like Taylor Swift have the views of Taylor Swift. If
Okay.
Taylor Swift came out right now
There
and
you go.
said no more funding, I mean, look, Taylor Swift very likely could come out because of like a leftist view and say no funding for Israel.
Did you
and then
s-
you'd get every 15-year-old girl being like, no money for Israel, just screaming at the top of their
She
lungs.
could do this test. She could say, "I don't think we should invest money abroad," and all the young girls would be like, "Well, Taylor said."
You know what? I like it.
How the hell did we get on this? Like, I get done with my
no,
show.
but you
I've escaped this news, and I'm
Like-
back here. I didn't bring this up.
your
This is not my
think
fault.
you brought it up.
I think I brought it up, and I don't even like
I
Taylor
can't
Swift.
escape
Yeah,
it.
but you're still
this is
thinking
awful.
about it.
Yeah.
We're
That's
talking
her power.
marketing.
Look, the point is, these high-profile leftists are willing to sabotage their entire careers
Yes.
for their values.
They care
right
more.
is not
they care more than
Yeah.
the right. The right has to care more. People have to get out there and make themselves vulnerable and just do it.
Yeah.
This is crazy. I mean, this post from her, and then we'll talk about something else. But she's like, I don't know if you've noticed, but Israelis from all over the world love your products. This is from one of the fans. And she was like, so remember, this says no Israeli buys from you again anywhere in the world. Gaza doesn't have money to invest in my opinion, because they prefer to invest in weapons. But have a lovely day. She says, I don't want blood money.
There you go.
She's saying, listen. She has no problem telling all of her fans that if you are Jewish, if you are Israeli, and you are uninvolved in just a regular civilian, and you
Jewish?
decide, well, Israeli,
Okay.
and you decide not to buy a product, she doesn't want your blood money. So an Israeli civilian minding their own business goes to a store and says, well, I'm not sure I want this. She goes, your money's blood money. She's saying the money of any Israeli civilian is blood money.
Pretty harsh.
She's coming out with a bold stance, you know?
Pretty
And
harsh.
the left has done this for ages, right? There's a lot of people say, if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book, don't buy this, don't buy that. Like, they have no problem turning away customers if they don't believe that they fall in line ideologically with them.
You're right.
Yeah.
No, they'd rather have the customers that fall in line with their views.
They have rabid followers and loyal followers.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, whether her makeup empire or career crashes and burns is sort of irrelevant to me. It's more interesting that she would say anything at all.
I agree.
Exactly. Why?
We've got to jump to this story. This is huge breaking news. Ladies and gentlemen, from Newsweek.com, Alex Jones warns of possible terrorist attacks in the U.S. I can't believe it.
That's crazy.
Of all the people, Alex Jones saying this? I mean, if Alex is saying it, you know, this is a shocking thing for him to say. It must be true.
Yeah.
Well, Newsweek loves him. They trust him implicitly.
Let me just ask this question first. I want to say this. Yeah, Alex is correct. There's a fear considering the open, the porous border and what's going on with Israel and Hamas. There could be terror attacks. But why is Newsweek running a headline? Alex Jones warns of terror attacks?
This is definitely one journalist on their desk who's like, I got to get to my last story of the day. Somebody please
All right,
say
so
something.
let me. Newsweek has actually been very friendly to me, and
I think they've been pretty good.
of all of the mainstream corporate media outlets, I think Newsweek is the most libertarian friendly.
I get
Well,
it.
they've got is Batya still there? Because she's fantastic.
I don't know.
They've given a lot of pushback to the lies and the manipulations from the establishment
They
narrative.
publish a lot of my op-eds. I have a lot of op-eds.
That's cool.
No, I'm just wondering, like, you know, Alex Jones warns of terror attacks quite a bit.
Yeah, he
You
does.
know what I mean? Like,
Maybe there was something about this particular terror
Did they
attack.
give any more details?
Well,
Did
of course,
Alex
of
give any
course.
more details?
Let's see.
yeah, they say that because of Hamas attack on Israel, that America has the same problem. Hamas led, blah, 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 blah. Jones, without offering evidence, told Bannon he feels it's only a matter of when, not if, there's an attack on the U.S., similar to what Israel experienced. I love how they do this without offering evidence.
Yeah.
Here's my evidence. What was it? 4 Iranians captured at the southern border and 200 or so people on the terror watch list. That's evidence.
Yeah. There have been multiple arrests of Americans who have been radicalized in major cities in the last year. I remember one was a white guy from Maine who took a bus to New York and stabbed someone, and he said it was, you know, he was Islamic and this is what he had to do for his whatever rite of passage. That doesn't seem like nothing, right? This doesn't happen out of nowhere. Without evidence would mean he has just arrived on the planet and he's never been involved in American politics.
Right.
Yeah.
Too bad all the U.S. taxpayer dollars went to build Israel's Iron Dome. We don't have that here.
We don't need that. We don't even need a wall because that's how good the Biden administration is.
Fantastic.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Israel would exist without U.S. dollars, obviously.
That is not my problem.
Yeah.
That is
It's
not my problem.
It's not the problem of anyone in the United States for us to be funding any other countries either. And
Nope.
And yet they're all like, please, more money immediately. You know that scene in Parks and Rec where the girl is like, more money, please. And they're like, just give her some so she'll
Yes.
go away.
Yeah.
I wonder if they would change the way that they behave if they did not have the United States dollar.
I don't think they would exist.
They wouldn't.
Israel? Yeah, I don't think they wouldn't exist. That without the Iron Dome, they you would not be able to live there.
Well, okay, they've got it now. Let's just cut them off, you know.
Yeah, but like
It's like
maintaining the Iron Dome.
Daddy's Trust Fund. Well, you know, get creative. Don't they create tons of pharmaceuticals, including hormones and
They do, and they
vaccines?
also do a lot of surveillance technology,
Okay.
and I think they do a lot of military tech stuff as well.
They're very smart. They figure it out.
Did you see that story that was in the news the other day? It says, like, I'm trans and I support Palestine, but Israel creates my
That's
hormones.
that's from 2018.
Was it? But I'm saying, but it was like,
Yeah.
like
But it's
the,
circulating.
very
that's
relevant.
A
it's-
timeless
Yes, a timeless tale.
tale.
Tale as old as time.
I mean, it was a great insight into the fact that this has been a long-raising tension within
Yep.
super progressive
Yeah.
communities in the U.S., right? This isn't something that just... I think that's what bothers me most about all of this is that it's not like on October 7th, Hamas just attacked out of nowhere. This has been building for a long time. And in fact, we know that because our own political circles are having trouble reconciling when they share certain opinions with people, but also disagree on
Is
this
anyone
issue.
trying to just engage Hamas in talks, even if it's not peace talks? Just hey,
Well,
by the way,
there was
You're
the
right. What,
Pizza
Jordan?
Bala from oh maybe Jordan is. I was thinking about the Catholic leader that's based the Patriarch of
Oh
Jerusalem.
no, Saudi Arabia.
He was saying
Saudi
it's very
Arabia
hard to
is-
get them on the phone.
I think Saudi Arabia is
calling.
having a meeting with Hamas. Let me check.
that's good. Someone needs to do that.
keep calling.
But again, like Hamas would have to be open to it, and I don't know that that's Hamas's top priority
I
right now
know
because
that-
they are not motivated for peace because they're
I
motivated
don't
to
know if
claim
they're
land.
They did
motiv-
reach out. They did reach out initially, I believe.
Yeah.
And almost initially, but after that, I haven't heard anything else about it. So.
Oh, okay. Well, the larger story is that Israeli and Saudi leaders were going to be meeting to have peace talks,
Right.
and then Hamas fired a bunch of rockets.
Yeah.
And now
I'll
it's
put that
off.
to a stop.
And now it's off. Yeah.
Now it's off. Someone needs to be aggressively trying to talk to these people. I don't even think I'd
Wow.
start with calling it a peace talk, but maybe a what the hell talk. Can we have a what the hell talk?
I mean, when we had Max Blumenthal here, he basically said that the reason Hamas attacked Israel is because Israel was having these normalization conversations and they didn't
Yeah.
want it.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're evil.
Yeah.
That's
Max really knows his stuff. He's very good on foreign policy.
yeah, but he's very pro-Palestine. He's outright saying like
He
Hamas
is.
engaged in these actions targeting civilians and killing people because they were trying to stop peace in the Middle East.
Out of desperation. Yeah.
Well, because peace in the Middle East for them is a loss, right? Like they don't want peace in the Middle East because they don't want a two-state solution. Maybe I'm wrong in misinterpreting this, but the thing that Israel or other countries might present as peace is still considered not satisfactory.
It seems incredibly disgusting and unsavory and unbelievable for us to like kind of have to wrestle with this right now. But when you look back throughout history and you look at things like the USS Liberty and the bombing of Pearl Harbor, there are things that are highly suspicious that our government has had intelligence on in 9/11, and then maybe it happened anyway. And so there's a real argument as to how much they knew. It's not out of the question that Israel might have known what was going to happen and allowed it to happen. I don't know for sure that that's the case, but it's not inconceivable.
But I do think it's highly improbable. And I asked Max about it, and Max also disagreed. He said that Israel has this very serious, I forget what he called it, it's a military doctrine where they will shoot to kill their own soldiers if they're being captured by Hamas.
Yeah.
That's how much they do not want Israeli soldiers to be captured by Hamas.
Oh,
So
I understand.
The idea
Yes.
that they would allow hundreds of
Yeah.
civilians and soldiers to be captured is unquestionable.
How did they miss an attack
Well,
when they
this
have
is-
such high surveillance?
That's the thing. The guy who came out and said something and spoke for Hamas said that they had only spoken about between like 3 or 4 of the top individuals within Hamas.
In person.
So like, yeah, it was
Yep.
all like super
And-
hush hush on purpose because they know they can catch up on them.
And not just that, a lot of people are pointing to Egypt having warned Israel 10 days prior as if that's evidence. And it's like, dude, if someone comes to you and says, hey, man, something big might be coming, like keep your security up, you'll be like, okay, does it mean you know that like a bunch of dudes are going to break into your garage and steal your car?
Right.
No. I think it's possible. I think there's a possibility that Israel,
I
there's
think it's
certainly incentive.
suspicious. I think it's suspicious, and I think people should be open to it. But I do think there should be evidence before we make, sweeping
I just think
condemnations.
it's substantially less likely. The argument is that the political state of Israel has been in disarray. There's been massive conflict and protests, and this conflict has resulted in Netanyahu getting people
Yep.
rallying around him. But I don't agree with that because if you look at the collapse of the peace agreements, Israel's on the verge of making a whole lot of money and gaining a whole lot of influence in the region. If these peace talks go through, it all falls apart right now. I think more likely Hamas caught them off guard. They didn't expect it to happen, and they retaliated, and now they've just lost this tremendous opportunity. I mean, the idea that they were going to have economic normalization was about to make the region substantially wealthier. Gone. So, when I think about it, I'm like, I don't see the Israeli leadership as ideological as Hamas, though I do see them as more ideological than we would expect someone to be.
Yes, more ideological than we are here in the United States.
Especially Zionists, overt
Yes.
Zionists. But I think for the average person, money talks, BS walks. I think for Hamas, that's not the case.
I agree.
So when it comes to what seems to make the most sense, a lot of very, very wealthy people who are Israeli have lost a lot of money over this happening. And I really don't see the nepotism and the elitism allowing something like that to happen. Like, I don't see them going and being like, we know this might happen, and all of our most wealthy, connected families are going to lose lots of money over it. And I don't know. They're probably, the phone calls came in,
I'm sure.
billionaires screaming in faces, serious threats. I will end your political career. How did you miss this? I really doubt some billionaire was like, well, I'm going to lose 100 million tomorrow, but it's okay. I don't think so.
But everyone is rallying around Netanyahu.
Sure. I mean, that happens. There are a lot of people that I've talked to about it where they're like, I know someone who's got like a wealthy family, that they're Israeli, but they live in New York or whatever. I'm like, I don't think these people wanted to lose massive portions of their net
No,
worth.
certainly not.
Yeah, and
I don't
so
think they're that ideological.
Netanyahu may see some benefit from this, but I ultimately think it's going to cost him substantially politically. Like, at the very least, he's going to owe a lot of people a lot of stuff. And not just him, a lot of people in the Israeli government who miss this.
Do we know how long he's been in office now?
Oh, man, it's like 16 years.
It's a
something,
really
isn't it?
long time.
He was out of office for a minute there, right?
he like got reelected, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can look it up.
16 years. From 96 to 99 and from 2009 to 2021. Yeah. For a long time.
It is hard to get rid of a wartime president.
Yeah, and they're in war quite
Prime
a bit.
Minister. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I guess the bigger question is, was Alex Jones right?
I guess
Or
we'll
is
find
he
out.
going to
We
be
have
right?
a jar here that says
Which
he is all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a lot of money in it.
Yeah.
But it's
Alex
a really
Jones
big
was
jar,
right jar.
relative to the,
It's a really big jar.
It is. There's also a lot of fake money in it.
I was gonna say, I think most of that money is fake.
There's some real money in there.
Is there some real money
There's
in
like
there?
there's like prop stacks of $100 bills in there.
I always like tell people because like on the show on PCC we have the money guns. I was like, we can put like 5 real $100 bills in there and say anybody who wants to help clean it up, like you can keep the real 100 if you find it.
You should get an Alex Jones was right jar and put it on the table, and then when the money goes off, you're like trying to catch the money. There you
I mean,
go.
I think this statement is not specific enough to say whether he's right or wrong because
It's so
probably
vague.
it will happen. It's no shade to Newsweek journalists. I also sometimes struggle to get a story out at the end of the day, but I would like to have seen more specific
I just thought it was funny.
something.
They would also
But it
deny
was-
the evidence anyways.
But it's just Ron DeSantis said the same thing, and so like Kevin McCarthy said the same thing. It's not surprising that Alex Jones is now saying the same thing. When Alex predicted the Russian invasion in Ukraine, everybody started losing it, being like, dude, several months ago he warned this was going to happen, like almost specifically and over, like to the T. And I was talking to him about it because we had that event, and he's like, Tim, I just read the news. I don't know. What. He was basically like, everyone was surprised he got it right. He was like, there's a bunch of news stories about
Yeah.
it. Like
Well,
he wasn't doing
but
anything.
But it's because there's a caricature that he's just this loud, dumb guy who screams on
Yeah.
YouTube or whatever. Like a lot of people, mainstream and left leaning, don't know anything about him. So the fact that he would get anything right is just shocking to him because they only know him as this guy who gets everything wrong and he says these crazy things. But
We have to do this. I don't care. I don't care about politics.
It's Tim's show.
I don't care. I just found out about this and I want to talk about it. From Defector.com, is Ron DeSantis wearing hidden platform heels inside his stupid, ugly boots? An investigation. Okay.
This is real journalism.
I didn't know about this.
We're gonna get President Short King.
This has been going. This has been a story for a long time, and I have no idea how. A year now, this story's been around, and I did not know.
Oh
about
yeah,
it.
even I knew
neither.
about this one.
I did
And
not.
then Ashley St. Clair posted a video which clearly shows Ron DeSantis wearing super tall lifts with fake toes, and I'm like, dude, those are fake. Like,
Do we have video of high heel walk?
someone, okay, I couldn't find any because it's
Sashi?
like just the last minute, but apparently people were tweeting at me that there's video of him high heel walking.
High heel walking or drunk girl in high heel walk? Like there's the 9 p.m. and then there's the 3 a.m. like clunk clunk.
Very
elevator
different.
He's
walk.
been practicing this for a long time.
But look,
I'm sure
look,
he
He
gets it
slings
down.
them over his shoulder as he's
So
leaving.
this is an article from just
Slurring.
a week and a half ago, and they show these videos where, I mean, look at this. This is the one that I saw from. You can't pause it. That's stupid. Look at that. His toes are clearly not in the front of the boot, and they have massive platforms. This is what I saw Ashley St. Clair repost.
Can't have a short
And
president.
then people like, look at this right here. So there's no foot right there.
Yeah, that's
These are
weird,
his.
man.
These are his like live, laugh, love, pumpkin spice fall.
He's going for
Ankle boot.
the Hobby Lobby demographic right now.
And then
I
there,
love this one with the femur.
this one I think is silly, right?
Yeah, it's honestly like the argument: the femur is the longest bone, so why is his fibula, which would be his second longest bone, so weirdly disproportionate? Like,
What
these
is
are great
Donald Trump
questions.
going to do with this high heel Ron?
I don't know, but like some of the
That's weird.
Look, there's clearly no foot in the
That's
front of
weird.
that boot.
Yeah.
Look at that. It's like, look how it's bent.
What if he just has very, very thin toes?
Very
Very thin
no,
toes.
because
comes out
there's
and he's
before
like-
and afters of him in regular shoes where they look normal.
We
so.
must-
Comes out and
Demand.
he's like, I have really bad arches. It's just
I
arch
want to
support."
see the foot.
Why is he wearing cowboy boots anyway? Okay, fine. You're allowed to wear cowboy boots, but look at this right here. I did not know about this. Look, there's no foot there. There's no way there's a foot in that.
Yeah.
Now, this outline is very silly. I don't think that's correct either. But clearly those shoes, I mean, look, the best case scenario I can say for him is that
Wojak anatomy.
he wears size 12 boots because he's got size 7 feet and he's embarrassed about it. Worst case for him is that he's got high heels on.
The thing is, I've been trying to figure out how tall he is, and I've seen everything from 5'7" to 5'11".
Okay,
and the fact that there's not just one
that's the
conclusive
problem.
answer, one
Question.
statement, and this guy could just be like, "I
Can
am
you be
5'10".
5'11" and have a size 7 shoe?
Yeah.
Does he have a 5'7"
like,
shoe?
No, I don't think
I
so.
don't know about that. That's
look,
like
as somebody who's short, 5'5", he's really missing out on representing me.
The short
when he
king.
yes,
He
like
lost
he
your
needs
vote.
he lost my vote. Like I would have been perfectly happy to give this guy my vote. It's the Tom Cruise vote.
Okay, the thing
Betrayed
is,
the
we
short
just
king.
need to figure out how tall his wife is, and then do the thing where you take an object that you know the size of and compare the difference. Internet sleuths could solve this. We just need to be ensure that she's not wearing heels and he's not wearing boots.
It's also
check
They're
this
from
out.
Florida. They went to the beach together.
This is a story from February 14th of this year. Democrat opposition researcher slams DeSantis for wearing high-heeled boots.
imagine
Quote,
being that Oppo
They're
researcher.
called cowboy boots.
He's like, I went to college for
look,
this.
So this person noticed something weird and said DeSantis wears high-heeled boots to appear taller. But this is the clever thing. In these photos, there is a lift on the boots. So they can go, they're cowboy boots with a natural heel on them. They're not high heels, calm down. But what they're omitting from the people arguing in favor of him, they're omitting that, no, the argument is actually that inside the boot is a lift you can't see.
It's a hidden lift.
And so Matt Whitlock said, tell me you've never seen cowboy boots without telling me, touch some grass.
No.
Like, dude, hold on. Like,
No,
I'm sorry.
that's
I'm going to go back to this picture right here. This one right here. Bro, tell me his foot is in that.
Right.
That is
exactly.
not.
Tell me he's got
Crazy
big flappy
curly
pancake
toes?
feet.
Like-
Big flappy pancake feet.
The
No.
Wojak anatomy drawing is correct.
Definitely. Like there's
Wojak anatomy.
cowboy boots have a heel on them, but this is not what we're talking about here.
You can't be a short president these
No, he's
days.
like Daffy Duck with a little flap.
Internet has a bunch of stuff saying that Casey DeSantis is between 5'5" and 5'6", but then more recent stuff coming out in 2023 says that she's 5'9", and so I think
Suspicious.
Suspicious. Someone headed me off at the pass here, and we're like, no, we got to make her taller too.
He needs to bury that
Yeah.
story with Taylor Swift marketing.
Because if you look at photos of them, he's a little bit taller than her. But what did they say she was? She was
They're saying that she's 5'5", 5'6", although more recent entries say she's 5'9".
So if she's 5'9", this is the
Can't heal.
Then he
DeSantis
can be
war room
5'11".
posting this to get this out there. She's 5'9" here, then yes, I guess he is
But if
5'11".
But if she's 5'5", then he's like 5'8", maybe.
I'm telling you, man.
Maybe that's why he won't come on the show, because I'm 5'9", and if we stood next to each other, I would know how
Well,
tall
now
he
he's
is.
definitely not
interesting.
coming on the show.
Well, they have a mandate not to allow any of their people to come on our show.
Why?
Because I'm so tall.
Well, why do you think?
They're like, okay, but Hannah Claire can't be on the show with me. She's
Right, it is.
We need Phil on the show.
Well, now it's definitely not happening. But
Yeah, between Phil and I, we just need to stand strategically next to him, and we can figure out how tall.
what?
Wow, wait. Where did you see that Casey was 5'9"?
I'm seeing it. I mean, none of them are super reputable sources.
Oh, that
right?
makes Ron a
Biography
veritable
lane.com.
6 foot right
Yeah,
there.
well, that's what I'm
Look
saying.
at this.
That if she's probably 5'5", but the DeSantis war room leaked the 5'9", so it makes him look just a little bit taller.
Look at this picture. If she's 5'9", he's 6 foot. He's 6 feet tall. We know he's not.
Are Trump people
Well, and
running
she's
his
in
campaign
heels,
into the
presumably.
ground
Yes.
on purpose?
I mean, I swear. That's why I tweeted. I'm like, it has to be that the people who are working for Ron are secret Trump supporters.
It's got to be.
Right.
And they're like,
They're playing the long game.
They're sandbagging.
yeah, because he was in the lead.
Yeah.
He was leading in the prediction markets. He was leading in the polls, and then all of a sudden he started slipping on banana peels. Remember when?
It's 'cause the high heels on the banana peels.
When,
It's
remember when
difficult.
Sideshow Bob was stepping on the rakes and kept
Yes,
hitting him in the face?
it's just like that.
That's Ron DeSantis' campaign, and I'm like, somebody put those rakes there. There's no way he's accidentally just stumbled upon a bunch of rakes on the
It's
ground.
pretty wild that it's okay. Come out with a boring, snoozy campaign video and wear high-heeled shoes.
And have your campaign staff and communications people start randomly attacking prominent personalities who support Ron.
Yeah.
I think he should just go for full spike stilettos and come out to Purple Rain.
And the Minnesota
As a
crowd.
Minnesotan, I support that idea. Yes,
it.
we
I
need
love
Prince representation.
Yes, we do.
From Ron DeSantis.
I'm not even kidding. I think there's a strong possibility that the communications people he hired are pretending to support him.
I think that's
Yeah, it's
very
like he does
possible at
every
this
single
point.
thing that you would want to not do. It seems like he does.
So
At
what
this
did
point.
what did Ashley Sinclair say? She said he's a Tinder 6 feet.
Yeah,
Someone,
Someone
someone commented underneath saying, how tall is he? And someone said 5'11". She said, on Tinder, he says 6'1".
Yeah.
Look, as somebody who has never, as somebody who's 5'5" and refuses to ever exaggerate, even to 5'6",
Okay.
just embrace it, dude. You're fine. Just
So- Apparently, according to the internet, the average height of the U.S. president is 5'10". Because
So he's
which
above
suggests the
Yeah,
voters
hold on.
prefer slightly taller. I don't think this is real.
Yeah, but
at
hold
all.
on.
What are
That's
these
because
sources?
like 200 years ago everybody was 5'6".
I was
Yeah.
just gonna say people have grown.
You know, we've got
Modern presidents
one of the
can't be short.
buildings on the Fredamistan property is an 1800s barn house, and I'm 5'10" ish, 5'10" and a half. You know, got to give a little extra half inch there. But I'm almost banging my head in this building because I'm like considered tall for the era.
Giant Tim Pool.
Yeah, I'm like walking. I'm like I feel great.
he doesn't want to go walk into North Korea and be the same height as Kim Jong Un.
My favorite guests were Charlie Kirk and Vosh because they're both like 6'5"
100 feet tall.
and then they were like, let's get a photo together. And I look short. Everyone's like, wow, Tim's short. I'm like, dude, they're just 6'5".
Yeah, you're not short for men. They are just enormously tall.
Yeah.
Right.
And then it's like, you know, just got to wait until we can get someone who's not so tall in here and take a picture with them.
People ask me that. They're like, "Is Tim short?" I'm like, "No," and they're like, "Oh."
I think it has to do with our camera angles. A bunch of people asked me if I was short when we went to the Miami event, or they were like, "You're so much taller than I thought." And
Everyone in TV is really small. That's how we fit on your
Well,
screens.
it's because when people are used to watching people on TV and they film from their chest,
Yeah.
the cameras, and so it's usually pointed upwards towards people when they're having conversations, so they look taller and they're imagine how you view the world when you walk around. And you're looking at people, and if you're of average height, you're looking mostly at eye level.
Sure.
Then you turn the TV on, and everyone is at an angle looking upward, so you feel shorter than them. Here in the studio, the cameras are all slightly above head level. Otherwise, the cameras would bump into our heads. Like
Right.
you'd see the back of Brett's head, and so there's a natural downward angle. So everyone makes the assumption that they must be taller than us because they're looking slightly downward.
So what Ron DeSantis needs to do is hire Tom Cruise's director of photography, who manages to make him look normal height in everything that he's in. Watch him in Top Gun 1, where they have to film
There's like-
Val Kilmer from like half a block away. Val Kilmer sitting down.
Ron's here, and the podium's here, and the camera's there, and it looks like he's in front of the podium, and he's really tall.
He's like way far
Is
back.
he going to get reelected now that he's had this clown show campaign?
He can't be reelected. He's termed out.
For governor in
Yeah.
Florida?
Yeah.
Oh, what's he going to do next?
That's why he's running for president.
That's right. That's
Not
so
play
sad.
pro basketball.
That's so sad.
That's why there was a rumor he was going to run for Senate.
yeah, which I think could have been good.
He's going to have to retire after this. I mean, that's why I'm like, look, man, I'm not big on conspiracy
Back
theories,
to
but
Congress.
the idea, no way. He'll never get elected.
I don't think he'll get elected,
I mean, look, no, that's not true. The people who moved to Florida love the guy, and they'll vote for him. And to be honest, like, I'd probably vote for him if he was my congressman.
Except for the
too.
ones who were mad that he was running for president.
Yeah, no, actually, I take that back. I don't know. I mean, I think after doing this
Mixed
poorly,
bag.
I don't know if I'd even vote for him
Mixed
for Congress.
bag.
I think he's going to have to maybe fade to the background for a little bit. I mean, my thing is I don't like to short the conservative bench, right? Like, he did do things in Florida that people loved and felt
Sure.
strongly about. And so I don't think that we should just like wreck everybody right now and then make it so they can never have a political career. But I think
Well, not
it's
over shoes.
Would he?
not over. I mean, look, he could have just come out and then he gets sponsored. It's a
I
whole
just
thing.
wouldn't vote for him because he's going to pump and dump a bunch of money into Israel.
Yeah,
Does he-
that's my current problem.
Would he have a place in any type of like in a cabinet somewhere?
I mean, that's the thing. If his relationship with the presumptive nominee Trump were to get better in the next 12 months, maybe, but it's such a long road. I just think it's hard to say that, like, this time next year when we're a month out, less than a month out from the election,
Put him in
will
charge.
they be on better terms?
Put him in charge of the Department of Education.
Maybe. Could be interesting. But I don't like the idea that we're just, like, attacking all of our talent in primary season and making it impossible to think long term.
Well, then maybe he shouldn't wear high heels.
Well, he's doing his best to look trustworthy and tall. I love that height privilege is alive and well in America.
Some things you just can't get. You're just not born with it.
All right, I'm pulling up Ashley St. Clair's tweet.
I sent this to you, right?
Is this the one? Wait, hold on. She's got a bunch of videos. Where's?
She's a lot more right there.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay. POV, you're Ron DeSantis getting ready to go out.
I think it's funny that she has those.
The knee highs.
Well, she's so cute and so stylish. She had probably borrowed them from.
And then I guess-
Why is she wearing like a blue Power
The
Rangers?
DeSantis-
I love it.
Like
Stop questioning. Actually,
That is nice.
So the DeSantis campaign actually responded to her saying, POV of nothing substantive to criticize DeSantis on as another planeload of Americans arrives home from Israel.
Ugh.
And it's just like,
They couldn't even come back with something pithy and funny.
Yeah, that was so.
but you're supposed to roll with the punches, not get
Yeah.
angry about it.
Especially
They should
those
have been
types of
like,
topics.
He would only wear cowboy boots.
Yes.
Thank you, Ashley.
It's like he picked.
Oh, she apologized. Here you go.
Apology video. I made a joke about Ron DeSantis. There's a very popular meme going around that DeSantis wears heels, very high heels. And I made a joke. I put on my stilettos and I said, POV, you're Ron DeSantis getting ready to go out. I thought it was funny. Many people thought it was funny. I make jokes about everyone.
Yeah,
Trump, DeSantis, Vivek. But the DeSantis team didn't think it was funny, and that's what's most important. So I want to apologize from the bottom of my heart. And they said it wasn't a very substantive criticism. And they also notified me that DeSantis doesn't wear stilettos, he wears cowboy boots. So not only would I like to apologize, but I would like to be accurate. I would like to correct the record and do this again. So take two. POV, you're Ron DeSantis getting ready to go out.
I knew
See, that's the one that I'm like, I can't believe she owns those.
I like that she doesn't cut off the end. She just leaves her like hitting stop on
so
record.
funny.
This
celebrity who does like
exemplifies one of the problems of the tennis campaign. They are like the nerdy
Yeah,
loser kids who don't have a sense of humor.
can't me.
When she made the high heels thing, the response to the tennis campaign should have been to joke along with
Yeah,
her.
absolutely.
And then like post a picture of Ron wearing like moon boots on the moon or something. And
he
like,
should have run with that song, and she beat him to it. That's
Yeah.
the obvious
True.
thing.
Yeah.
Sad.
No, it's just because they're incredibly defensive. I think because they feel insecure. I mean, this
I think they're
is,
sabotaging him.
oh,
Like unless Ron, he's like going through his resumes of people for communications, and then he's like, well, none of this works. So he went down to he went down on the highway and saw someone holding up a sign being like, hey, you want to handle my social media for me? And they're like, okay. And that's what we got.
Well, you
'cause,
can't
like,
tell the difference at this point. So it is what it is.
And it's like it was after like at the debates when he's like, "I will never let you down." He did the weird smile.
That was so
like he's
uncomfortable.
never smiled before in his entire life. It's
It's his
just
first time.
figuring out how to smile in public at the same time.
But you
It's
got
rough
to
stuff.
roll with him. Trump has that there's that famous clip where he's like, the lights, they're too bright. They make me look orange. And it's hilarious.
It is.
Because we call him orange.
Orange.
But he doesn't care. He thinks it's funny. And then he makes it into a joke and everyone laughs and they like it.
Mary believes he's anti-fragile when it comes to cringe. He can't be cringe.
I want you to
Yeah.
imagine this, okay? Imagine
agree.
you're in a high school classroom, and Ron is sitting in the corner, and he's very studious, and he's writing, and then he just rips out an awful fart, and then everyone looks, and they're like, "Oh, Ron, did you fart?" And then immediately there's three kids running like, "Why do you care so much? You have no real reason to criticize him. He didn't fart. You farted. You're a farter." And you're like, what is going on? Then compare Trump on the other side of the room, and he goes, I did it. Ooh, smell it. And then everyone's laughing, and Trump's the overconfident, arrogant class clown
Yeah.
who makes you smell his farts, and Ron's the guy who has a crew around him just denying that a fart ever happened.
Trump won a ton of people over on Twitter when he was retweeting memes of himself as a wrestler. That was like the best part.
I just love the when he was. What did he say about that Diet Coke tweet? He's like, I'm still gonna drink that garbage.
oh yeah.
Or yeah, he's like, you never see a thin person
Yes.
drinking Diet Coke.
Yes.
He's like, I'm still gonna drink it.
He's very funny. He's
He
very
is.
funny.
He is really funny.
Oh, well. Ashley saying Claire was funny, too. She was kind of putting on a little Trump impression there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to go to Super Chats. If you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share this show with your friends, and become a member by going to timcast.com and clicking Join Us. There's going to be a members-only uncensored show coming up for you in about 25 minutes. You don't want to miss it. As a member, you can actually call in and talk to us and be on the show. Here we go. We got Quispy Joe. He says, am I the first? Good sir, you are. You win the prize of being the first Super Chat.
I love this race.
Great job.
Everyone's fighting to try and get the first Super Chat in.
Very nice.
And so we're going to end up having like 50 Super Chats all instantly at 7:40. I wonder if there's a way to. No, I don't think we're allowed to reward people for doing it though. I think it gets like sweepstakes laws or something. Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, it'd be weird.
But we know that you're doing a good job.
Yeah,
You could, but it's like,
you're first.
there's
You
only
know.
like 30 something states. I just went through this whole thing. We're trying to do a football square.
Oh, really?
It's so annoying. All the
Well,
different laws.
that's the other thing too. Like we're trying to figure out how to do this like grant program where
Yep.
we grant members money for projects, and our lawyer's like, you can't do it, and we're like, well, no, because it's like it's a sweepstakes basically.
It's a sweepstakes. You can do it in certain states, but not all of them. And
There's like there are ways to do it, but the
Yep.
problem is so long
not
as
in West Virginia.
the issue is that we want to support our members
Yeah.
who are working on cultural projects with a grant, but they can't be our members if we're going to do it, because then the argument is we're just what is it solicitation for a sweepstakes if we're claiming it's a grant through an external company. Like, so if we said we will give you 10 grand towards your project, sweepstakes, okay, well we have an investment company and solicitation for a sweepstakes, you like you can't do it.
So
And I'm
ridiculous.
like, that's weird. Yeah, so the only way to do it is to give any random person.
Right.
It has to be completely open to anyone, anywhere, basically. And I'm like, okay, that's probably fine. Like, we could probably do it that way, but we're still working through the paperwork with our lawyers to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
We've done some stuff that's just not public, where we've given money to various projects, people fighting for culture war causes and issues, as well as like people who have, like I've given a lot to like various give, send, goes and stuff like that. But all right, where are we at? Salty Tin Man says, will the attention-driven media launch us into world war? Yes. Thank you for your question.
Lovely.
Clint Torres says, howdy, people. Howdy, but you were number 3 today, Clint. You were not number 1.
Slipping, and we notice.
Ben Hancock says, I am one of the Marines stationed at the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem. I have been watching all of this unfold from the ground since day one. Needless to say, has been a crazy week and a half. Wow.
Man.
Thanks for tuning
Crazy.
in from
Yeah.
Jerusalem.
Stay safe.
Stay
out
safe.
there.
Yes,
Stay safe,
please.
man.
Michael Leo says, 18 USC 2339B providing material support to a foreign terrorist organization. Does sending $100 million to Gaza count as providing material support for Hamas? What about donations from all these protesters? Let's just say yes. Lock them up.
Lock them up.
Maybe.
Lock 'em up.
I'm trying to file for conservatorship of Joe Biden, so maybe you won't get a chance.
Are you really doing that? Because you should.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
You're
Paperwork is drafted. I just need the right attorney to file it.
Are you serious?
I'm 100% serious.
That's so funny.
And Mitch McConnell.
Yes.
Yeah, nice.
You should definitely do that.
Yeah.
What a
Conservatorship.
fun twist that would be. I would put that in the
Right.
And it's
$25
like
scorecard.
through a strange legal loophole, court was granted, and the judge is like, "Look, my hands are tied. The law is clear."
I have the Libertarian Party trying to file because in DC a corporation or an organization can do it. We're incorporated in DC.
You can file
That's-
conservatorship on a random person.
Well, we have a relationship.
He's the president. This is amazing. I'm applauded this creativity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fun.
Does that mean you have to go to Delaware then? Hang out with his dogs?
Get bit.
Hey, it's not their fault. They're in a high stress environment
true.
and no one is taking them out of it. It's obviously correct for them.
Federale Actual says everyone needs to realize that when you're wrong about things like the hospital, average people like me will never trust you again. I've lost trust in everyone but the Timcast crew and post-millennial human events daily. Their SOP is legit. Well, I mean, I wouldn't be so extreme, like you can't trust them ever again. But my point is, it's really easy not to get it wrong when you don't pick a side, right? So when this story comes out, we're like, it looks this way, but we're not sure. So check the evidence and figure it out for yourselves. We're not trying to tell you we know things are true if they're not true. Like the Burisma stuff, I can go through that whole list and show you the videos and the documents and the sworn statements and tell you what is or isn't. The hospital thing was like, man, we don't even know. And then it turns out hospital wasn't even bombed.
Right.
Man. So, I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy. Voice of the People says, according to Britannica, treason is giving aid and comfort to enemies of the government. If Pelosi waited 71 minutes to authorize the NG on the 6th, and the people are enemies of the government, wouldn't that be giving aid and comfort?
Potentially.
The NG? What is that?
National Guard.
Oh, the National Guard. Authorize the National Guard. I see. Oh, I see what they're trying to argue. Because she told them to stand down or something?
Yes,
I don't
that
think she
was-
actually did, though.
No, I don't think
I
so.
think that was earlier. The mayor didn't want it. Grofty says, prime time with Alex Stein is crazy fun. Buck. Yes, the Cast Brews Alex Stein Coffee is nearing completion. So it's about to go into production, so it'll be about a month and a half.
Nice.
But it's Alex Stein's primetime grind, 2 times caffeine coffee.
Oh, nice. That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
That's his personality.
Yes.
And it's him like all excited on the bag. And then I think we're going to be launching Ian's Graphene Dream.
Oh,
nice.
Tell me there's no graphene in the coffee.
No, there's no.
Okay. Are there mushrooms?
No, nope. But maybe it should. You know they have that mushroom coffee?
Yeah. Cordyceps.
Yeah.
Dump it in.
No,
Cordyceps.
not cordyceps. That's not cordyceps.
No, it is.
Is
Yeah,
it
it is.
cordyceps?
Yes, it is.
I
Yep.
thought that's the one that was like the one that eats your brains or whatever.
Oh,
No,
The Last
ants.
of Us.
no.
That's the cordyceps is the ant brain. But yeah, I'm pretty sure the tea they do sell is cordyceps.
Okay, I don't know.
There's a few different. You can get lion's mane. You can get
See if you
Lion's
should
mane,
license
like
like an Alex Stein one chip challenge since they pulled those things from the shelves.
They pulled them?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
a
they
kid
had
Your
to
died.
lawyer's
die,
already
yeah.
like, please don't
He's
do
like,
this
let's
to me.
go. A kid died.
What'd
Yeah.
they pull?
What?
Yeah.
Died
One
from
chip, the like
what?
really spicy chips that you eat.
Yep.
But like died from the chemicals on it?
He ate it and then he went home and then his
died?
mom took him to the hospital and he died.
Right.
Yeah.
From eating a chip?
Yep.
But it was like
But it's-
anaphylactic shock because he's allergic to the
It's
seasoning.
insanely spicy. It is like one single chip in a box that's like a ridiculous amount of spice.
It's like an online challenge, spicy.
Yeah.
Like it's like a thing.
You
it
can
is
buy
So
artif-
it's like an
artificially spicy.
anti-fragile Darwin Award waste of money. That's fine.
Well, no,
People
because
do
right
what
here
they
on
want.
Timcast, Alex Stein ate one.
He ate
right here on the
two, I
show.
believe. I think
He was
ate
fine,
two.
actually.
He was
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, he ate 2, I'm pretty sure.
So that
too,
child isn't even as strong as Alex Stein. Alex Stein beat the child. Well done, Alex.
That is pretty good.
Phrase though.
All right, Goldilocks Production says Don Bacon is going to get primaried over leading the charge against Jordan. The Republican Party of Nebraska denounced him and is looking for a competitor to challenge him. Wow.
Whoa.
That's crazy, man. They're mad that Kevin McCarthy got ousted, so they're like, we spite you. We won't vote for Jim Jordan. It's like, just grow up, dude.
Yeah.
Well, he was terrible on funding now for Israel. He wants
McCarthy?
No, Jim Jordan. He wants
Oh,
to
yeah.
pump, he wants to pump more money.
And there's
into the Middle East.
and there's a lot of criticism over his position on Google and censorship and stuff like
Yeah.
that. That's why I'm like, just we booted McCarthy out. We made a statement. Vote for Jim Jordan. We'll all be disappointed again, and we'll move on.
We're always going to be disappointed.
Right.
That's the way American politics works.
Right. Okay, where we at?
No Trump Speaker of the House?
Alan Schauer, the boy who cried wolf is an excellent tale. It teaches the value of not telling the same lie twice. Ha
Oh, snap.
That's a good one.
What about Taylor Swift, Speaker of the House?
I mean, I'd vote for Secretary of State actually, but
Yeah, but like I'm saying that
I would not vote for
one
her
day
in
she
any
just comes out
contest.
and she's just like, I hate the 2-party system. They're
be
both
so
corrupt. The establishment is ripping up everybody off. These foreign wars are a waste of taxpayer dollars.
that'd be so
When she
awesome.
sits in the box with Travis Kelce's mom, she's actually like, have you heard about the Mises Caucus?
Actually,
Yes, nice.
not even that.
Nice.
Imagine she's on stage and then she's just like, she wraps a song up and then in between she starts talking about wasted taxpayer dollars, foreign spending, and then all of a sudden all the middle-aged dads who are there are like, wait, what did she say?
She's got a big Ron Paul poster in the back. In the back
Starts
of her.
awkwardly.
Prove to me that she doesn't.
She did.
Prove to me
She
that she
did.
doesn't.
When she made one post about registering people to vote, she got 35,000 people to sign up to vote.
Yeah.
We
That
should
is
Every
terrifying.
single one of them is going to vote Democrat.
Terrifying.
No. What we need to do is we need someone to just create satirical videos from her events with
Deep
big
fakes.
Ron Paul banners,
yes.
like next to her on stage.
Yeah.
We're doing deep fakes.
Deep fakes
happening.
of just
I don't support this. But
no,
I
like
do
a
like
real video of Taylor Swift's performance, but like superimpose.
Ron Paul in the background.
Ron Paul.
Dave Smith. We'll put in some more timely, like new people too.
We'll do a bit where she introduces Dave Smith using AI technology.
Yep, I like it.
Oh my gosh.
She'll be
AI
like,
is so
my
crazy.
future president, Dave Smith. I know he's not running.
Oh,
She
the
writes
pain.
a
Yeah, who is running? When are
She
you going to
writes
tell
in
us?
a new song
Wait,
called
we've-
"End the Fed."
We spent all of our time talking about DeSantis'
I'm sorry.
shoes.
We have time. Tell me who's running for president for you guys.
We haven't picked yet. We've got Michael Rechtenwald, we've got Mike Termott, we've got Lars Mapstead, Chase Oliver, and Josh Smith.
Are you endorsing someone specifically, or are you not allowed to as like?
It's
the head
not
of
that
the
I'm not
association?
allowed to. I'm trying to hold off on that until it gets a little. It's not in good form for the chair of the party. I certainly do have a favorite, and I think he might be coming on the show soon. We'll say that.
Interesting.
Dave Smith?
Is he coming on the show?
Womp,
Yeah, I know.
Moves to guest
Womp,
list.
womp, womp.
I
Yeah,
think
like,
you
it-
do have. I think.
Dave Smith with Michael
don't get
Malice
that kind
press
of
secretary
information.
was just like
Oh,
so exciting.
Beautiful. We're still trying to get Malice to be press secretary. Maybe.
Either way, he said, what did he say? 1 Bitcoin per month.
Yep. He said 1 Bitcoin per month.
That's not unreasonable right now. That's like you'd be making like what, 380, 400 a year or something like that.
He did. It would be really beautiful. If anybody wants to sponsor Michael Malice for press secretary, 1 Bitcoin per month.
Dude, I will sponsor Michael Malice as press secretary. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that though. Is that legal?
It's completely legal.
Okay, well, that would be the greatest thing ever.
It would be.
All right, well, let's grab some more super chats. Let's see. No Name Farmer says, pretty sure Chicken Little convinces other barnyard birds to follow him. Then they're all taken advantage of by a fox looking to benefit from alarmism. Oh,
Yeah.
is that what that story
When
was?
I looked it up, there are like several translations, and that's one of the ones that happens.
Yeah, there's multiple.
Well, there you go. We will grab some more super chats. Matt says, Operation Warhawk is a fresh way to revive the anti-war movement.
Yes.
Angela is leading the charge on this. Thanks for having her on. What is that?
We have a plan at the National Libertarian Party to chase the worst war hawks out of office. We are going to essentially terrorize them during their primary campaign. And we're leaving it open to the state affiliates whether or not they want to engage the GOP at the state level and talk to them and potentially engage their opponent in the primary season.
But are you saying like you're going to be at their events asking them questions and like,
absolutely
running ads?
Jose Vega is not in the LP, but he works with us on all of our anti-war coalition events. And he disrupted a Rachel Maddow event recently. It went viral on Twitter. He has also disrupted AOC's town halls
Well, now hold on there a minute. He disrupted. How did he do that?
by yelling and calling her a corporate shill and a warmonger.
See, I'm not a big fan of that. I mean, I'm a big fan of him calling her a corporate shill and a warmonger, but in the normal process of asking a question and being handed the microphone and saying,
Sure. He's done both. He's done both.
Yeah, I don't like the just yelling because that actually I think creates negative.
I think this is how conservatives lose. That they're afraid to disrupt. Here we are having that same conversation.
I think
we're
it's
afraid to push the Overton window.
But that's not it. I mean, if you walk into a group of people who are unsuspecting and don't know what's going on, and you start yelling and insulting the person, you look like the bad guy. So this is like persuasion 101. What you call someone, you are perceived as, is like one of the first things you have to understand in doing a sales pitch.
I hear you. I respectfully disagree on this one, depending on the context. I think it can be done right and it can be done wrong.
The right way to do it would be you stand up to ask a question, and then you ask a simple question and have an answer for it.
But that is not the end all be all of Operation Warhawk removal. That's just a tiny part. We're going to be doing aggressive billboard campaigns. We're going to be running libertarian candidates against them. But the aggressive media attack is in the primary season. It's meant to really make them feel the pain and try to push a different Republican into office as well.
Cool. That sounds great.
It'll be fun.
All right, we'll grab some more super chats. Isaac Gorski says it was all a lie. Peace has crumbled and Joe is rewarding them. Time to stop paying taxes to a corrupt government that serves enemies. Tee-hee. Well, look, man, I don't think, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. I say pay your taxes, but do what you can to get the people you support into office, and the local level is the most important thing. Everybody's ignoring their state senators and state reps, and that's where all the laws are actually being made. And if you want to figure out how you win your district, like, oh man, I live in this district and it leans like Democrat 5 points, like, okay, well, why don't you vote for your local legislators so that way they can drop the maps and then get a more favorable map so that your federal representative more represents your values.
Okay. Really good comment on that. My friend Cody Womack is on city council in the city of Lone Star. He recently fired a government employee and saved the city a ton of money.
Hey, that's great.
It cost, on a small town like that with 5,000 people, if they see this, they'll flip out, It costs like a couple $100s to get a door knocker to get someone elected. In cities that are a little bit larger, it might cost you like $5,000. You can donate $5,000 to a candidate or the Libertarian Party, preferably, or whatever, and then you can fire a useless city employee who's raking in a 6-figure income. If you do that over and over again, huge changes in your local community.
A lot of people don't know this too. A bunch of your local politicians run unopposed.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's the craziest thing, especially in Chicago. I remember looking at the ballots and it was like unopposed, and I'm like, that's crazy. Yeah. Somebody wanted to be the comptroller, I guess.
There's a town nearby in West Virginia where they had to be like, no, you run for mayor. I don't want to do it anymore. You run.
Wow.
You can get rid of employees who literally just sit there and do nothing. They collect a paycheck. I think this guy was like smoking weed on the job. Something completely out of control. Outrageous.
Man. All right.
Is that position available now?
Let's see. What do we have? Zane Thomas says, Israel tried giving Gaza concrete for buildings. Hamas used it for tunnels. There's videos of Hamas taking water pipes and using them to make rockets.
Yep.
And it's no wonder then the rockets misfire, their propulsion systems break.
Yeah.
Because they're made out of water pipes.
Yeah.
That's crazy stuff, man. And they put these videos out celebrating it.
Yep.
They want people to see it. They film themselves killing civilians
It's awful.
because their argument is they want to show how powerful they are or something. No, I think they want Joe Biden to give them $100 million. That's crazy.
Definitely.
Michael Rechtenwald says, it's not leftists or rightists, but statists versus anti-statists. I disagree.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Is he going to be on your? Is he going to be a guest ever? He'll
Maybe.
be a great guest.
Probably. I don't know. But I've heard this a lot. There are people like the culture war is authoritarian versus libertarian. It's nationalist versus globalist. It's statist versus anti-statist. It's, woke versus unwoke. And I'm just like, I don't think so.
He's very good on the culture war, though. He used to be a Marxist, and he is a bona fide libertarian now. He's a really interesting story.
The culture war is basically like honest conversation. Like it's like logic versus disorder. It is honesty versus dishonesty. It is reason versus rage.
Yeah.
So it's not really statist. I mean, the left's positions don't make any sense. It's like an inversion of reality. So libertarians can have arguments with the post-liberals and the conservatives, and there's an honest conversation that results in some kind of move forward. The left doesn't have those conversations.
I think perhaps he's referencing people who are like, the principled anti-war left, the dissident left. There's still some good people out there, but those are
Well, I thought Max was great.
Absolutely.
Max Blumenthal, he was a fantastic
Max,
guest.
Jimmy Dore, all of those guys.
Oh, Jimmy Dore is absolutely wonderful too, and it was great. It's great having Max on too, because while there's a lot of stuff we disagree with when it comes to Palestine, like in Israel, like Phil was arguing with him, when it comes to issues of the establishment and war, we're like, we completely agree.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, as far as I'm concerned, bro, like Israel Palestine stuff is out there. So if you disagree on that, okay. If we agree on the corruption inside the United States government, revolving door policies, corporations, et cetera, we're good. Like let's figure this stuff out, and then we'll figure out who's getting. I mean, he'd probably agree when the libertarians come out and say we don't want to fund any foreign nations. He'd be like, done.
He spoke at a Ron Paul event recently. He spoke at our anti-war rally earlier in the year too.
Yeah, he was mentioning that, and he was like, his point was, if we disagree on a bunch of things, but we agree on certain things, we have to get those things done, especially if they're the important things.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm like, yeah, thank you, please. And then it's also important for a lot of people didn't like what he was saying, and I'm like, dude, listen to what he is saying, right? There was one dude who wanted to get a pro-Hamas rally canceled. I think it's in Texas or something.
Yes, I saw it on.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, why? I need those videos of them supporting
Absolutely.
terrorism so I can show my family.
We need to know what they're doing.
Well, I've got family members who are like, that's not true. They're not supporting Hamas. I'm like, here's a video of them doing it.
Let's find out.
Let them speak, please.
Yeah, let's find out what they're doing.
I would like them to say those things. Yeah. Ben Stark says, just when we started thinking right-wingers could be anti-war, some Muslims shoot some rockets and we're right back to wipe them off the map. Well, we'll see what Donald Trump says. I have a feeling Donald Trump's going to be more interventionist when it comes to Israel. Absolutely. He was very anti-Middle East intervention in his first run, the second run. He was trying to get the troops out, no new wars.
Yep.
I have a feeling when it comes to Israel, however, he's going to pledge support and financing. And
Joe
stuff like
Biden has just positioned himself to be the pro-Hamas president, and
That's
so
crazy.
What a strange stance to take.
I couldn't believe when I
While
saw that
also
he flies
sanctioning them.
he flies to Israel and says we're giving Palestine $100 million.
I mean, my heart goes out to those people, but I don't know why we're essentially giving murderous warlords a bunch of money.
I don't know that Joe Biden knows
million.
either. I feel like this is a decision being
It's a
made by
bribe.
his
It's
staff.
a bribe.
Like, I don't want to sound like a bleeding heart leftist, but there's school lunch debt in the United States. We have like VA guys who are suicidal.
The pipes in Flint, Michigan need to be fixed. And
Literally
they did,
anything
but
except putting money in the Middle East, please.
I think everyone says they did fix Flint, but Newark, Pittsburgh, there's a whole bunch of cities with crumbling infrastructure.
It's just
Absolutely.
the one place.
How about this? 340, the highway into West Virginia. They are working on a rock slide abatement.
Yes.
Which has resulted in Route 9 getting jammed up, so nobody can go south from Virginia into West Virginia, from Maryland into West Virginia. There's this little dirt road that's been torn to shreds, and all the locals, how about we divert some of the money from Hamas into just that one little local project we've got going on over here?
I just found out about it. My babysitter, who is a great guy from the Mises Caucus, actually, he was messaging me. He was like, "Can I get through the 340?" And I was calling around. I was like, "I guess you can't get through the 340."
So there's from Maryland to West Virginia, 340 is the highway that goes through across two bridges. It goes into Virginia and then West Virginia, and they shut it down for 3 months. So you have to go from Maryland south into Virginia,
Into Loudoun County.
and into Loudoun County, and then you got to turn at it comes down to a point, and then you go down and then back up to get into West Virginia.
Yeah.
and the traffic's backed up for like 2 miles because it's a three-way intersection. And people who are just trying to go from DC to West Virginia are stuck at this light that's broken and doesn't work. Then there's this little dirt road that people who are coming from West Virginia try to cut through, and it's dirt. So now the road is just
destroyed.
not even like half the road's been destroyed completely.
Yep.
And apparently the locals are revolting. And I'm bringing this up because I'm sure all of you listening at home have some kind of similar problem with construction and diversions. And we're sitting here talking about $100 million going into Palestine after Hamas, the leadership in Gaza, just killed a bunch of Israeli civilians, and we can't get the road fixed.
Well,
It's like the
Janet
pawn
Yellen-
shop meme. Best I can do is $100 million in Palestine.
Seriously, you need your roads fixed. Best I can do is give.
But also run for local office or support people who are running for local office and just tune out of some of this
Imagine
foreign
being
policy.
the people in Hawaii who are like 100 million to Gaza, huh?
To where? Question mark?
You meant to Hawaii, right? No.
No.
Damn.
The funny thing about our issue is that apparently I heard this from a local politician that the people in Virginia voted against it. So basically, you've got this tri-state, so it's all it's all negotiated.
Yeah.
And when West Virginia was like, we want to expand the highway going into Virginia, they said no. So what happens is the 4-lane highway bottlenecks down into a 2-lane highway. And so now you've got this massive traffic jam that's disrupting all of the locals who live there. And they're the ones who voted against expanding the road.
Yeah. That sucks, man.
Well, there you go. I mean, I get it. Like, hey, we're going to do a bunch of construction. We're going to expand the highway. It's going to take this much time. They're like, no, don't do it. And now that the other highway is like, there's going to be a rock slide. It's shut down. Now they're screeching.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like an hour wait.
Yeah,
Crazy.
if you wait for
How
the
do they
traffic
not-
and you don't take that dirt road, then you're gonna wait 30,
You have to
40,
like
45
plan your whole
minutes,
life
an hour.
around this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
How do
I don't
you-
make time to get out there very much anymore just because of how much extra traffic there
It's
is.
brutal.
Yep.
They
And
can't
it
clean up
sucks.
the rock slide?
So they have to like it's a big mountainous.
Okay.
It's like a mile of like mountainside.
All rock face.
Rock face.
Oh, geez.
They've got to bolt chains and
the
stuff.
rock, it's not like one rock fell and that's what they're cleaning up. They're
Several
they're
times.
preventing it from falling.
Oh, I see.
constantly.
Multiple rock
It's a
falls.
3-month project, and it keeps getting delayed. And then finally, they're just like, we're shutting the highway down.
Yep.
That's horrible.
Yep. So that
Just
cuts
West
off West
Virginia
Virginia from
problems.
Frederick, Maryland, which is
Yeah.
a million people or something.
Well,
clo-
major-
it's
in the
closest
total
city.
metro.
Major props
Yeah.
to Travis who made it out to help me anyway, watching the baby.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal. All right, we'll grab a couple more of these here super chats. But anyway, the point was, can we just get some money to fix our problems?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Why am I paying so much in taxes to do this?
Yeah, it makes no sense.
It's just
People
so
need to remember
annoying.
that's where your money's gone.
Alex Langart says, Tim, it's Cassius Belli, not Cassius Belli. When did I say Cassius?
I never heard you say Cassius.
Yeah, it's Cassius Belli. I know this because I play Civilization, and I know what Cassius Belli is.
You just got well actually'd in a super chat.
Well,
I don't
actually.
know about that.
Yeah, there was like another one that was really weird where they were like, it's these super chats where people claim things that I never said. Where is this one? Someone said that I claimed if Trump was kidnapped, he would talk his way to becoming president. And I was like, I never said that.
I think I made that joke. So sorry about that.
You
I
said
don't
that?
remember that.
I was joking. I was not actually saying that. It was when we were having this hypothetical, like, Biden was going to Israel and we're like,
Sure,
but why are we
sure.
doing this? And I made a joke that if Trump were kidnapped, he has so much charisma, he
Yeah,
could
you
talk
can't-
himself into a different elected position. It was a joke and it was
Nah.
not
That's
Tim.
that's the libertarian autism. They
Can't make
they
jokes
don't
anymore.
get jokes.
I'm sorry.
Those are
Humor
not okay.
does not read.
Humor is disallowed under
It's
the
not
current
allowed.
administration.
Not understood.
It's not a legal thing to do.
I forgot that part of the First Amendment.
Oh, it was
Back
funny
in
when
the
I read
show.
that one super chat from Alan about the boy who cried wolf. He literally wrote in parentheses, it's pronounced shower. And I said shower
Oh.
because I read your name before I read what you actually wrote,
That's really funny.
But shout out, get your name right now. It's pronounced shower. All right, we'll grab one more super chat. Here we go.
That's a good one.
Michael A says, Tim, there is literally nothing wrong with being short. I completely agree. So Ron
Tell that
should
to
not-
Ron
Yeah.
DeSantis.
I
You
agree
need
too.
to talk to him.
I know.
counsel
Like
him.
can somebody get me the guy's number? I can help this guy
One
see the light.
confident short man to
Like,
another.
you just
I
gotta
agree.
see early on. You have to develop a personality to make up for the fact that you're not
man.
tall.
That's a tall order. For that.
Final thoughts. I will say this: when I worked for nonprofits, there were 3 types of top fundraisers. 3 types. There were 2 different types of top male fundraisers and 1 type of top female fundraiser. So I've asked this a lot, so a lot of viewers probably don't know the answer. But you go out in the street and you wave to people and you ask them for money. What characteristic of men do you think led to them having lots of signups and donations? Anybody? They were tall.
I knew you were gonna say it.
Guys who were over 6 feet always came back with loads of cash and sign up forms.
Crazy.
The second characteristic among men was that they were fast talkers.
Yep.
And the trope of the car salesman. I knew a guy who was 5'5", but he talked like Ben Shapiro, and he'd come back loaded with cash. Listen, I gotta tell you that. And he just bing, 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 and then he gets it.
Their brain just shuts off and they say, just take the money.
Yeah.
Hypnotizing.
Yeah.
So it's like powerful charisma with a short guy or a tall guy. And the tall guys often sounded really dumb. Like, look, I think you should help us out, and
They're like, and you are so tall, I believe you.
and also men, 80% of the signups men got were from women. And
Okay.
for women, men. Now, what was the one characteristic among women that resulted in the most signups?
Wearing a
Breathing.
dress or a skirt.
Nope.
Attractiveness.
Short.
Close.
Height? You're talking about height now?
Nope. It was, top fundraiser, female, one characteristic that led to them, I would say not led to, but when you would see a top fundraising female, they typically shared one characteristic.
Who's gonna say it?
I mean, you know the answer, right?
No.
No one knows the answer. It's obvious. It's the most obvious thing
Who's
in the
gonna
world.
say it?
There's a whole restaurant
say
industry
it,
based
yeah.
on
I
this.
know. That's what I'm saying.
Big
Who's
boobs.
Gonna, yeah. It's
When I worked at all these different offices, you're not allowed to say this in the offices because, it's sexist. But it's like everybody noticed that the chicks with big boobs would come back with tons of money. It's
Yeah.
like,
Everyone in chat got it.
yeah, I'm sure they did. I was like, who's
All right.
who will be the one to say it?
we got to go to the members show. So smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. Go to timcast.com right now. Click sign up. Also, download the app on the Google Play Store. The members only show will be up in a couple of minutes. You can follow us at Timcast IRL. You can follow me personally at Timcast. Angela, do you want to shout anything out?
Absolutely. Join and donate at lp.org. Help us chase the Warhawks out of office. I am putting up billboards in Mitch McConnell's district right now. Please help give that some support. Help us file conservatorship for Joe Biden. It's going to be freaking awesome. You
like
can
that
find me on Twitter, Patreon, and locals, Angela McArdle.
Cool. I'm Hannah Claire Brimlow. I'm a writer for Timcast.com. You should follow at Timcast News on Twitter and Instagram. It's the best. You can see work from me, Adrian Norman, Chris Bertman, everyone who's excellent in my personal opinion. If you want to follow me personally, I'm on Instagram at hannahclaire.b and I'm on Twitter at HC Thank you so much.
Guys, if you'd like to follow me, I am on Instagram and Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. Please go and check out Pop Culture Crisis is Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. Audio versions, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, all of those platforms. Come check us out, guys.
And I'm Serge.com. I just want to keep shouting out the box and to, just encourage people that are fans of the box to remember to stand strong against England. They will not take us once more. That's all.
All right, everybody. We will see you all over at timcast.com. Thanks for hanging out.